why are we talking about PvP, guys? Well, that's actually because of
It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question, but it's one with broader implications, my friends, and actually will apply to pretty much every game mode, I think. Actually, well, I guess actually this is kind of like the avenue to the discussion that we're actually going to have here today, which is Arenanet is actually asking for feedback, guys. You guys believe that? They're actually having
on the
forums. No, not on the Mountskins. No.
Oh.
Look,
They don't need feedback on that.
something quite interesting has happened to PvP. That the
800
devs,
gems, 1,000 gems.
these
I'm
fucking
sorry.
cynical, very cynical people here today.
I thought that was our job as being British.
Yeah, exactly. We're supposed to be the scathing, rude people, but no, it looks like it's going to be Roy today. Roy's a little bit jaded. Okay. Well, look what we've got, guys. We have various discussion threads from Arenanet, so they can improve their game. Will they listen? No one knows. But maybe they will, though. Who knows? We've got rewards and game modes, matchmaking leagues and miscellaneous, and automated tournaments. Like, all these things are being discussed, have been open for discussion on the official forums, the best place that Arenanet could possibly look for balanced and sensible feedback. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty exciting if you ask me, because that's kind of something that has been asked for a very long time. That Arenanet, listen to the players, talk to the players, have a dialogue with the players, and for a long time, Arenanet has kind of remained silent, held the cards close to the chest. But I think this could actually be an interesting beginning to a slightly more conjoined relationship between the player base and the developers, well, at least in this game mode. So I just that's where I kind of open up with, like, what do you guys think about that? Like, do you share my positive outlook, or do you think this is going to be kind of a one-off meme thing?
Well, the reason, I mean, Ben is the guy who's, I guess you could say, he says Ben and game designer as his signature, and he's a really nice guy. I met him at the A-Night Pie, actually, and he's pretty much, I guess you could say, he's like the head of PvP. Like,
is this the same Ben? Not the same Ben who works on the Fractals? Not
Fractals. Okay. No. That's a different Ben. I shaved that guy's head. I shaved his head. He's bald now. He is bald now.
Nice.
But he's a nice dude. I mean, his focus is trying to. I mean, when I spoke to him, he mentioned some of these bits and pieces, and just, you know, how they really want to try and just bring people back. I mean, there's no, you know, we're not surprised that the population is low. Quality of games is not due to poor matchmaking; it's due to poor population levels. If there's any reason like that, I mean, matchmaking is probably almost the best it's ever been. It's not a lie, because when you have a smaller population, and, you know, you're trying to, it's basically trying to find you games at a wider range, because people are they're dotted everywhere, you know, in the league. So you could be going up against someone who's in Legends to, like, flipping gold at the moment. It's crazy.
Yeah. Even if you have the best matchmaking in the world, if you have 5 players playing the game, there's nothing you can do.
It doesn't matter. Like, matchmaking is going to be bad. 10, yeah. I mean, there is a lot of stuff on there, basically talking about everything. Kind of, I don't know that maybe even everyone's wanted. I mean, there's talk about possibly bringing 15 versus 15 if they can fix UI issues. There's they're talking about new 2v2 PvP arenas. They're talking about new tournaments, like special tournaments where you can bring in Stronghold tournaments, like one-off tournaments. You know, they've got a lot of stuff to think about. Yeah, I mean, Stronghold is popular on NA, man. If you go and queue for Stronghold right now on NA, you get a queue pop in 5 minutes.
If they do once a week Stronghold tournaments with better rewards than all other AT tournaments, and brings MightyTeapot back into the Stronghold scene,
the Stronghold scene.
Yeah, but they're also going to revamp. They're also revamping Stronghold as well. The map itself.
Oh, I mean, they'd have to, right?
Well, they have to. Yeah, it desperately needs an update. I mean,
it never got one since its inception. It needed, and it never really got the love.
I remember trying to, like, cast that and just be like, I don't know what to really do here, because they're attacking the gate, but they can't attack the gate, and the mobs attack the gate, and it's all just a bit not fun to do, really. I don't know. It's okay once in a while when you just realise. I actually forgot it was called Stronghold 1 week on UG. I think we were talking about it, right? And I was like, I actually forgot it was called Stronghold.
Jebro, we were in the middle of a game, and Jebro was like, "Oh, there's another PvP mode, isn't there?" I was like, "You mean Stronghold?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, whoops."
It's an easy mistake to make, seeing as people have tried to forget it exists a little bit.
I hyped that as well. I was well excited. I was really excited.
Yeah, it is a bit of an interesting thing now. Seeing as it's now, right now, Arenanet says, you know what? It might be time to look into additional game modes, guys. I probably one of the worst times to do that in my opinion.
Now that the PvP scene is thriving, we should add.
Yeah, it's just I think maybe you might want to try and populate your first game mode before you make a second one. But that is part of this, right? That is part of it. They are going to try and make that happen too, by bringing people back to the game, by changing some of the systems.
But also probably the reason why they're looking into new game modes is maybe because it'll bring a little more excitement to that scene, and maybe most people are burned out on Conquest, and that's maybe why a lot of people left, or one of the reasons anyway. So if a new exciting game mode is added, maybe they'll come back just to check it out anyway.
Yeah, and I think, well, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to defer to Jebro and Roy a little bit here, because honestly, I don't really see any glaring problems with the Conquest game format. I think it's fine. I don't see anything wrong with it, really.
It's more the maps that have specific issues than the.
So that's kind of where the improvement has to be, is like tuning the maps then a little bit to, or adding more or something like that to actually improve the scene.
Tried to. I mean, they tried to with Spirit Watch. That was then one of the big games the Grouch had back in the day when we had the authorized shout coaster program and stuff like that. And I'm not breaking NDA. Is that to revamp maps like Spirit Watch, to bring them into ranked. But I just think, if they took away that orb, for example, it's ultimately better. Like, that's probably the main thing they need to do. Like, the mechanic is just not good for that map to be in ranked, right? Especially if you want it to be a Conquest specific map. I don't think the orb is a great mechanic, but that's one thing they tried to do when they changed all the skills. Do you remember they changed the skills of carrying the orb and stuff? Because the map is actually pretty good. The map is actually not bad. But yeah, they tried it. They did it with Skyhammer. Skyhammer's in ranked. Skyhammer's actually not too bad. It's actually quite fun. There's still bugs though when you port up and you jump up off the pads and stuff. But
are there still a lot of issues with getting stuck in walls in Skyhammer?
In actually most of the maps, that issue is a thing.
All of them. It's not just Skyhammer. That definitely needs to be fixed. They were talking as well a while ago about changing Legacy. I don't know if
the point
there's anything.
Yeah, that's
the midpoint, and also the distance between the two side nodes from the base. So I mean, I think they definitely should change that. If they're gonna, I mean, but they haven't said anything else about it as far as I know. Since I think they get
to that point where they get discussion, they do some design, and they maybe bring it into beta. And then they will beta on ranked or whatever, and then they get feedback. That's normally the process they go through. But yeah, you're right. I don't think they've mentioned anything since. I don't think so.
Another map would be really cool though, as long as it's not another courtyard. But
they're working on it. That's what they said in the post as well. They're actually working on a brand new Conquest map. Yeah.
And the thing, it seems to me that the actual systems themselves they seem to work quite well. The ladder system seems to work well. I'd say the matchmaking algorithm is probably good, but they just need more players to make it work. So it seems like
they are working.
The maps are it's just like minor tweaks to the maps need to be done, and then what they're gonna do to get people to play that game, which works correctly, guys. Okay. They're baiting people in with rewards. Look what they're doing. They're making rewards again, boys. They're doing another. I guess it probably won't be a rework. It won't be a rework. It'll be more like an update to the way the rewards are.
Yeah, I mean it is a little bit of a rework. You're kind of right with the ascended. They're adding the exotic and ascended tiers, right? To the glorious.
Ben was also asking for other suggestions, and I know Sind was posting on it. He had a couple pretty good thoughts. He was talking about finishers. Stuff like gifts for legendaries, like the map completion gifts and stuff like that you get. You can get them from PvP, and Ben was saying he thought that was a good idea. Or things like that. So, I mean, adding more rewards like that, I think definitely would boost the popularity.
Yeah.
It would help.
In that sort of thing will always revitalize a bit of, bit of an interest in the game. And the whole map completion thing is actually a good idea, but for a slightly bad reason. I mean, if they made it so you could get map completion by doing PvP, then I think a lot of people would actually do that just to dodge doing map completion. Actually, that would really.
I don't think that's something they should do. I don't think that's something they should do. That's something that makes legendaries quite like. I mean, I don't want to go out there specifically for myself and go and do map completion. I've done it once.
Oh, you just pay people to do it for you?
Again. Well, I could. I mean, I've never done that before.
Jebro, that's against the terms of service.
I did it myself on my Mesmer.
Right.
Years ago, actually. Years ago.
You did it on Mesmer. That's the worst part of it. That's why you hate it so much.
Well, I can't do it on a mount now. I mean, it's not that difficult, is it? You can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, mounts help.
Yeah. But like, I think that's what made them so good. I think what I wanted was like maybe even like a legendary insight, because I'm 16 away from fucking getting my armor, and I'm just like, I want a PvP to get it. I just want, that last stretch. But then I'm like, one insight and one reward track. I'd just be like, I could just do that once a week to get one insight. I don't know.
One insight. Oh well,
it'll still take ages.
They're probably not gonna add any more insights. You can get a lot of insights now by doing raids. You get 17 insights a week now, man.
You can.
17 insights a week. It's intense stuff.
So how fast can you make legendary armor now? With 17 insights a week, how fast could you make legendary armor now?
Wait. What about Dervish? I mean, we're not having Dervish. There are probably no new professions. No, we probably have all the professions we'll ever see. In fact, we definitely will, because of the way elite specialization.
Well, Dervish could be implemented as a elite spec to another thing, like to a warrior or something. But it would have happened in this expansion, so it probably won't happen.
For at least another couple of years, but not. Anyways.
Another thing that's actually really interesting, I like this redesign towards, they're changing the way the automated tournaments work as well. So even if you lose, you don't necessarily lose, which is actually I think that's really good. Because right now, the way it's the most basic way you could have it set up, right? It's single elimination, and if you lose, well, fuck you, you're out. Yeah. But now
you go up against Sind and Zan.
First round,
it's just like you might as well just F.
But now, if that happens, you can make a comeback, guys. You can make a comeback. You get you can the way it's going to be, it's going to be Swiss style. So you'll play a bunch of games, and if you do well enough in those games, kabam, you're in a single elimination bracket at the top, and they're changing the finals finally to best of 3. So there you go. Yeah. Something that probably should have maybe been there from the start. They're putting it in, guys. So they're going to make this a much less irritating experience, probably. So you can't just get unlucky. Well, not exactly unlucky, but if things go not your way unlucky in the first game, no. I mean, I suppose mainly for the final, right? Because a best of one is like you can kind of cheat, you can kind of get fucked, and you won't be able to come back from it. But now, if you get screwed, you have to get screwed twice in a row.
Are they gonna up? Are they gonna? Is it just for the monthlies that there's a 3 finals, a 3-thing final? Or is it for all the automated?
It's for all the ATs.
Okay, so are they gonna up the rewards a little bit because you're gonna have to do a lot more fights?
They should. I think they should.
Probably not.
Honestly. I just think it would incentivize people to. Yeah, they're not bad for sure, but I really want people to be incentivized to play as a team more. If that makes sense, like. As opposed to just sort of logging in 10 minutes before the AT, seeing who's online, and like grabbing a couple random people to do the AT. I'd really like to see more dedicated teams. Like, for the UGO, and this sort of ties in more with the UGO, we have, I think since the beginning, maybe 2 or 3 teams on each region that have like been the same since the beginning, but a lot of them are really different. A couple of them are maybe some different players shuffled around, but it would be really good to see the same teams playing consistently, because then they're going to improve, and it's going to be they're going to be better tournaments, and that ties in for the AT as well. So there needs to be a better way to encourage that, in my opinion, as opposed to sort of just like being like, oh, we'll just get 3rd place because we're not going to win anyways, and I'll see who's around to do it.
We've always had that problem, mate. It's always been like that as well. That's the thing. I think it's like I mean, Pro League, and I think they tried to bring Guild League when they had the Guild League. Like when you could queue up as a guild and 5v5, that was the other attempt but then people took advantage of that, and they just had like 20 teams and like
from the same guild.
5 people. Yeah, and it didn't work.
You just limit it to one team per guild then.
Not even necessarily that. I think there's you can use the guild system, which has it's kind of perfectly set to deal with this, right? I mean, at the most basic level, what about like a guild mission, for, like PvP guild missions, right? And integrate an automated tournament into that, for example. What like weekly AT that you have to do, and you can get some extra rewards. Well, for a start,
go and put it on the fucking forums. That's a good idea, mate.
Yeah, but I mean, for a start,
it's a good idea.
For a start, make the like rewards not shit on the guild mission as well, right? Like, we have to actually make it good first. But have something like that. Why not?
After all, this is an MMO.
Yeah,
I mean, the rewards need to be good, right?
So you have to have stuff like that. I mean, you could even have some little like passive bonuses. Like I think so. I mean, you could I don't know, like maybe you get like 10% better rewards while you're queuing. If you do an AT with only your guild or something. This would be so easy to abuse, then, man. I don't know. You just invite everyone to the guild beforehand, man.
You're saying all these things, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna get abused.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just know it.
It would get abused, but then again, maybe it would. Maybe it's okay for it to get abused because it might actually work. Who knows?
Well, that's the thing. I guess like half the time they have to think about when they're designing this stuff. Their initial thought is okay, and it's like with any PvP game, I suppose, as well. And rewards, like how can this be abused? Like how can this be abused to the point where someone's going to take advantage and everyone's going to start doing it to gain rewards rather than it actually be for the purpose of increasing population or whatever. Like they have to do that, but
of course they have to do that. It happens every time.
Completely, and it's annoying. But I mean, there is a decent amount of stuff there. I mean that is almost kind of what I wish we had from day one, like that discussion, the amount of discussion there was. And I think Josh started to bring it in, Grouch, so when he was there, but not in, like, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, even the weapon sets, where it depends which team you're on, the weapons change effects. Like, that's flipping awesome.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah,
like, if you're on red team, like, is it like you get fire or do you get ice if you're on blue or something? Like, I want to know more. That's sick.
And like World vs. World for green as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's shared with World v. World as well. Is are the weapons shared or is that just armor?
I think so. I think it was the weapons.
I think it's the weapons. The obsidian set.
Is awesome.
Yeah.
So good. Glorious
the
armor
new
needed
competitive weapon set.
Yeah, it's the change that World vs. World has been waiting for.
Yeah.
But you might get GVG, dudes. You might get GVG.
I wouldn't. I would
like
15, dude. 15 v 15.
Like
GVG. They're putting it in the game. Well, maybe they're putting it in the game.
Hey, remember when they made the Guild Hall arenas? They were putting GVG in the game. That was fun.
Well, but think about it.
Why did we start talking about this?
They have some developers that actually know how to fix the PvP stuff. But maybe the devs they have absolutely no idea how to fix the Guild Hall. Have you thought about that?
Well, because they don't have the team anymore.
Well, exactly. So the Guild Hall is like a buggy piece of shit that they just they can't fix. But PvP Arena, that's a buggy piece of shit that they can fix. See, PvP seems so fine. I don't know. Would you if GVG came in the form of PvP balance? Would you prefer that, or would you?
It would definitely be tried. Like if they added a 15v15 mode. But the problem is, like, people have tried to do things like 8v8s and 10v10s and stuff in PvP, and it's not the same thing as the GVG in this game mode. It would be more similar, I think, even to Guild Wars 1 maybe. Although I couldn't say for sure.
Isn't it just deathmatch though? Just 15 versus 15, like a big area.
Right. Well, that's what I assume they would make it. If they started adding stuff like nodes you would cap and like NPC and stuff, it would take away from it. I hope they don't.
How important is like food and stuff like that to your GVG stuff?
Well, there's some people that don't want food at all in GVGs. Like there've always been people who say they don't want all these added effects in GVG because it sort of adds to, or it takes away, I guess, from the original purpose. I mean, look, if they added a 15v15 mode in PvP, 100% I would try it out. I think Ash would even reform and try it out. Other guilds would probably come back and try it out. So, I absolutely think that it would be a great thing to do. I don't know that it would be good. We'd have to.
But the other thing is, you wouldn't have any minstrel guardians going around, minstrel firebrands going around.
Right. I mean,
balance.
It could be a good thing. It really could. Yeah. I mean, the only thing to think about that though is it probably would destroy World vs. World a bit, because then there'd be even less people playing World vs. World. But
I don't know
at the same time, that was sort of the same worry when the Guildhall Arena was introduced. So, it might be good. It might be great. Who knows?
Imagine if you had a GVG AT though.
People have really wanted that for a while as well. When the ATs were first mentioned, people were saying you use that same exact system for GVG. And if they did that, that would be insane. Like, that would be one of the best changes they could make if they made an AT for GVG. Even if it was a 15v15 mode in PvP, that would be really good.
What if it was 15v15 in the courtyard?
Well, the courtyard's way too small.
Yeah, you can't get 30 people in there.
Literally, all they have to do is make a flat map. They just need a flat map that's instanced with, as long as you can make custom arenas as well with it. So it's not like you have to like queue up for it randomly. You know what I mean? Like, because if they made it a solo queue map or something, that would be awful.
Yeah.
There'll be custom arena. I think they said that in there.
Yeah. The other issue too would be if you can use some sort of tag in it. And again, I mean, maybe if they add a 15v15 map for PvP, it's not going to be GVG at all. It's just going to be something completely different. But like, obviously right now, and wherever you're GVGing, you have a commander tag, and the other 14 people are following the one tag. So you won't have that in PvP. So it's going to be different. It's not going to be the exact same as it is now, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing either. I mean, GVG has always sort of evolved in a way. It's not like GVG now is even close to what like Sacrex was doing 5 years ago. So, it could be great. We'll see. I would love to hear some more info about it. But.
Did you read the question and answer, the frequently asked questions from World vs. World thing?
Oh, don't. That's a joke.
No, an important thing that is mentioning that Rim just mentioned as well is that they did. Ben said that their tournament system is set up in a way that they can easily put in one-offs, right? So that's kind of hints at it. That kind of hints at that, though, don't you think? Right? That kind of hints that they might want to do something.
If they added an AT for 15s than the World vs. World pip update. That would be the best thing they've ever done in this game for GVG, without a doubt. So that would be all.
I wonder how highly
my only worry is that it wouldn't be advertised to the point where enough guilds would come back, and it just wouldn't matter at this point. That would be my only worry. But we'll see. I mean, there are still GVG guilds. Sort of a bit. NA is very, very desolate, but again, I think that some of the guilds would come back on NA. I know EU guilds. On NA, yeah, and EU it does. Right now it's a lot less just because it's the holidays and stuff. People always take breaks during this month. So I mean, if they added this in January or February or something, guilds would definitely come back, 100%.
And I feel like they could definitely do. They already have the technology, I think, for more than 5v5 in PvP, because didn't like in the beta they have 8v8 at some point?
No, custom arenas they've still got.
Yeah, you can have 10 people, right?
Oh, in custom arenas you can do 10 people.
There was a tournament on an A 3 or 4 months ago, I think. I might not be the right exact time, but someone ran an 8v8 tournament on an A. And it wasn't great. It was a cool idea, but I mean, it's not the same thing. You can't. Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1 are very different games. So, the GVG in this game and GVG in Guild Wars 1 are they're not the same thing at all. They're very, very different. And
would you be upset if GVG ended up being 10v10 instead of 15v15?
Yeah, I mean, that's not the GVG in this game. I mean, it might be a good thing, but I just wouldn't consider that GVG really. I don't think 10 players is enough. I mean, GVG used to be 25 or 20 people. 15s have only come about since the arena came out, since Heart of Thorns. 3 years ago, no one was running 15s. Everyone was doing 20s or 25s. So it's gone even lower. And there's the two problems with that is, the one really big problem with it is just you don't have enough variability then in comps, and it limits what you can play. So I definitely wouldn't want them to make it 10. I mean, they already have 10. if people were really that intent on having GVGs and PvP, they would just do it now. Like if they wanted 10v10s, but you know, so yeah, 15s or 20s is what you want. Yeah, but you know, again, I'm looking forward to it. If they add that, if they start doing something with the ATs with 15s, that'd be great. That would be on. Like I said, honestly, I think the best thing they've ever done in this game in regards to GVG. So,
I think the
only thing really, but
yeah, that's true. When Rim's talking about the one-off things, I think it's more to do with things like TOL, like Tournament of Legends.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely in there as well. But they also referenced, they also deliberately mentioned Stronghold there, right? So that means they plan for other game modes. Yeah, and 2v2s, etc.
2v2s,
so
yeah.
And Courtyard. He referenced
exactly.
Courtyard as well.
So yeah, they are talking about the word, and Courtyard is deathmatch, GVG is deathmatch. They're talking about GVG. Boom. You know, you can just join the dots and you can get there. They're talking about the ability that they can do these things if they wanted to. Again, it wouldn't be hard.
I would love to see 2v2 or 3v3 automated tournaments. They'll be a lot more easy to like join.
The more tournaments, the better,
together.
as far as I'm concerned. Like I think, I mean, if you can log in and play, 5 different tournaments in the span of 6 hours or whatever, obviously that's those numbers are probably off, but yeah, it's it's just that's cool. Like that's great, And again, I think that it all sort of ties in with like what me and Jebro are doing with the UGO as well, because that's gonna. The more people interested in PvP, in the tournaments that Arenanet are putting in, the more people are going to start sort of going to that. And I think the UGO is probably more of a, I guess, tournament, like, like the old tournaments that Arenanet used to run than say the ATs, since, well, you're obviously playing for money. But, and, there's the losers brackets and the 2-3s for each match, whatever. So, it just all this stuff that if they add it, and they continue to talk about it, they continue to take feedback. It'd be great. That's very, very exciting. So I guess we just have to wait. Did they say when they were going to be doing all this? No, that's really the biggest issue is they just don't have a.
It'll be next year. It'll be next year for sure. I don't think we're going to see anything.
It's definitely not going to be this year.
Well, next year is 3 weeks.
Imagine like Wednesday.
I'm just saying. Yeah. I wouldn't expect anything. I'm not expecting stuff within a month. Okay, it's not going to be this. Not going to be this month. Okay, because that would be silly. But why not? Why not?
It's going to be quarterly update, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be a quarterly update thing.
Yeah. And luckily, having these forum discussions and discussions in general keeps the PvP and World versus World community,
interested.
Appeased.
I wouldn't say.
At least they have the idea that something might be happening.
Yeah. That's true.
True. And hey, they're going to release an off quarterly balance patch.
Yes.
Which is revolutionary.
This is actually one of the other very interesting things that has.
This isn't a big balance
patch,
though.
It's
Jebro.
This is
no. When I say big, I mean it is big in terms of how it's going to affect people, but the amount of changes, like in specific, it's not going to be classes, everything. It is going to be massive. Like it is going to be massive, especially for PvP. But
so in case anybody doesn't know. The idea is they're going to try to reduce the Condi burst potential while still keeping Condi good damage-wise in general.
It's a ramping.
Because
a ramping kind of thing instead.
It used to be that power was just much stronger than conditions for the most part, and then they sort of went to the other extreme.
It's true. They went after Heart of Thorns. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea, I guess, is that for any skill, probably not every skill, but many skills that have like deal 3 stacks of burning for 4 seconds will now become deal 1 stack of burning for 12 seconds.
Fuck you, Burn Guardian.
Yeah, fuck you, Burn Guardian.
Sorry.
I don't think Burn Guardian was ever really that good in PvP, anyways. To be honest, like,
it's surprising.
It shouldn't be. Yeah, right. Like you might get killed by it once, but
it makes me wonder about a few outliers, though. Like for example, although they did change that recently, the Elementalist combo that you have with Arcane Power and that trait that gives 1 stack of burning every time you hit with Arcane Power, basically.
Okay.
So and that shares.
You're talking about one of your bad builds that's coming.
No. I just mean the burst potential for Guardian might be gone because all those 3 stacks are gone. But at the same time, there are certain traits that, like, for example, that arcane power thing that shares arcane power to your friends as well, right? And
First
so
Ellie's going to have to be viable in PvP.
And if every hit, I know exactly, but if every hit does a stack of burning, and everybody hits at the same time, that's like what, 13 stacks of burning.
They're not changing how fast you can stack conditions overall, right? Like if there's 5 people using the same skill that each applies 1 stack of burning, all 5 stacks are going to be on that person.
That's
not
but
it's still one skill.
It's not going to change. It's not going to. Thing is, Boots, that isn't good now, and it's not going to be good after either. that's the problem.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Condition duration isn't that good in PvP. Like the difference between like a 5-second like more than 5 seconds, you can maybe get away with more than 5 seconds ticking, but like I don't know, like if you aren't cleansing a condition after it ticking on you for 10 seconds, you're probably fucked. I mean you're dead anyway.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, I think it's going to be because obviously PvE is going to have its initial issues, but like if it's this, they talk about, is it the ramping? It is boost, isn't it? You said it as well. There's the main phrase they're using. The idea they've always had for condition damage is that it's a slow build up and it just builds. It's like progressive. It's progressive, basically, right? The further you go on, the more intense. But with with power damage, it's supposed to be, that burst, that spike, and then you can, sustain it. And I guess you have that rotation again. But like in PvP, like I think I'm not sure. They have to do it so right to make sure that, a Necro is not going to be able to
stack every Condi on you instantly, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is just like, he can do that, but then also like, some fights might be over by the time he's got his damage ramped up. Do you know what I mean?
Think that's the issue. Okay, so the issue is, you're absolutely right. The issue is that Condi itself is built. It's not dependent on precision or ferocity. Power needs precision and ferocity to work. So when you gear a character for power, they need these things for power to be good. Condi doesn't need any of that. It just needs expertise, basically. So that's why a Condi build can have like toughness and vitality and be a lot tankier and still do a lot of damage. Now, that is a problem because it gives Condi a huge advantage over power if Condi can do the same kind of burst potential as power does. So if they're making it just makes sense that they would make Condi only able to ramp up to a damage because by definition, a Condi player should be more survivable to begin with.
The problem is that, with the amount of condition removal as well, you have to be careful because if you you're taking away the burst potential of condition, right? So, again, you want conditions to be doing damage over time, but if they just get cleared instantly, they don't have any effect on the fight at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't want condition nerfs because conditions are too strong, but they do have to be careful that again they don't make it completely irrelevant and there's only power builds because I think that the different types of builds are good. I don't think it should only be like a full power meta. I think that would be kind of stale. But
I don't mind there being only a power meta as long as it comes around that changes quite quickly. Like that's the thing that has to happen because if it ends up that in many games.
If it ends up like that, you're gonna like the only true meta builds are power for a few weeks. It's not a big deal. But the problem would be is if they changed it in a quarterly balance patch, and that power was just so much better than Condi, and they left it like that for 3 months. Like that would be where the problem would come in.
And if you haven't got like legendary
there's
armor,
tons of examples like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they do that though. You could even argue that it was kind of like that for Condi for a while, right? That they made like and stuff like Scourge is so insanely dominant right now in the competitive game modes. That Nico does. Doesn't like power heavy.
Yeah. You don't need to be able to. You don't need to know how to play a Condi class if you're going to play Scourge. You just need to spam. You just need to get life force and spam. Like that's all you need to do. Like you can, if someone's not going to kite you, and someone doesn't know how to deal with it and stay out of the shroud, then it's like the sunshade. Sorry, you can just have the worst player dominating someone who's mid, like just average to high end. It's like that's the problem I have is the fact that you can outplay someone just because the build is strong and too strong, and that's the thing that really, and I'm not talking high end, you know, I'm not talking about Sind or Zan or these guys who are going to be able to trash someone who's just coming on to, you know, to play that class. I'm talking about the average PvPer, and that's where you have to be talking about that to increase population and to keep it there.
Those are ranked
levels where competitive stuff matters and where people can actually care about it. You have to care about the mid range and you have to care about the top tier as well, but you have to be fairly even. And Scourge is just like something which is just, people hate it, you know, because people hate it, the people play it. So that you're not going into PvP ranked games with just one Scourge on your team. You're going with at least two most of the time.
Yeah, it's like the knockback rev, but just meaner and worse.
Well, yeah, it's like the knockback rev is actually good, Boots. You know. Like
exactly.
Now.
Well, yeah.
The
thing about Scourges, though, and this is kind of why they're talking about the Condi Ram thing, is that if you get hit by all of its abilities, you'll basically have every condition on you in the entire game very quickly as well. Like if you can't get out of the Scourge's burst, you're gonna end up with like 15, 20 torment stacks very quickly, right? And there's also like burning, like you have every condition, so it's very difficult to get rid of them all, right? And that kind of bursting potential is not what Condi is supposed to have. And that's kind of where the complaint. It seems it's a very oppressive class. It's not even that it's I was gonna say it's not even that it's like insanely broken, but no, I wouldn't say it's insanely broken. I would say it's it's quite broken.
It's just the skill level, the skill floor is very low.
It's very easy, to execute.
I do see a small issue though. With going forward Condi builds in general, in PvP specifically, because if you do make it so that they have to ramp up all the damage, and that means that you should have a tankier build, something that's able to survive long enough to do this damage. The amulets currently in PvP don't really support that kind of play for Condi builds. There's like the tankiest amulet you have on there is precision, vitality, healing power. There's no Condi on that at all. I think the closest you have is Sages, but it's not even. So they're gonna need to either put in a new tankier Condi amulet or.
Well, we'll see
what happens.
Another new
a little bit about adding like adding like jewels or something, right? To amulets. Weren't they
bringing them back? You mean?
That? Right, yeah, like adding a secondary stat item.
I would love that. I was sad when those went away.
Yeah, you have to be so careful though, because I mean you'd have to nerf quite a lot of things because you already have. So, and here's the thing. Do you know what people aren't complaining? Actually, a lot of people are complaining about this, especially in the high level, actually. You know what is arguably more oppressive than Scourge? It's Firebrand, boys. And, like, they're kind of the counterbalance to each other. But I think there's a very strong argument that you could make that Firebrand is actually the bigger oppressor than Scourge, even. Like,
well, that's why I was saying, if you nerf Scourge...
then the Firebrand's, like, running around going crazy. Like, you're never going to kill him if you don't have stuff like that, right?
To be fair, I think Firebrand's healing just needs to be nerfed. Because Firebrand's sort of supposed to be more of a bunker, in my opinion, and you know, Tempest. Right when Path of Fire came out, I believe that Tempest still out-healed Firebrand, and then they buffed Firebrand's healing to the point where it now out-healed Tempest, which meant Tempest had absolutely no point in being in the meta for any mode because.
Tempest didn't offer the same things as Firebrand. It just didn't offer the same things like resistance. And
well, it didn't offer the same things, but I think the fact that it was out healing and it had more mobility as well was nice. But then it started getting out healed. The condition clear is not as strong. You can't bunker a point like you can with Firebrand, and it doesn't obviously provide the same amount of like boons, resistance, Aegis, stability,
Tempest
whatever.
Isn't a true Tempest.
It's never been a bunker.
Support. But it's not a true. I mean, a bunker in the sense that he can just be 1v2 for a bit. Yeah, that's fine. But like in
Firebrand
terms of like,
nerfed. I agree.
Massive support. Like Tempest was never about like massive support.
No,
it was just the most support. And well, no, I mean the heal was really strong. Like the closer you are to the person, like that burst healing, like that was
better
ridiculous.
Against power damage, or it was better against power damage.
I mean, but maybe at the heart of Thorn builds, but not part of Fire builds, because like Scourge, like if you've got Scourge and a point, Like, there's nowhere an Ellie's going to be able to survive. Like it's like
it can't keep up with the cleanse. It can't keep up with the cleanse, and that's why you have Firebrand, because Firebrand kind of can. You can kind of keep up with it.
It's the resistance. It's the resistance as well. Like there's so much resistance.
The one thing to remember though is that they're going to be taking away the condition burst that Scourge and whatever other Condi classes offer, right? Like Mirage. Yeah. But with Scourge, it still has a ton of boon corruption. So, I think that's where you're going to start to see the players that really are timing their skills better and their corrupts, instead of just spamming all their shades at once, be better, even with these nerfs to conditions, the changes to conditions. Because if you can, if you let a Firebrand go through his cooldowns and then you just corrupt everything and you have, another class there to kill it, it shouldn't be impossible to kill it, even if Firebrand doesn't get nerfed at all. But again, Firebrand probably should, because other than like Sword, Dagger, Thief, there really isn't any way to kill a Firebrand except for Scourge at the moment.
You can't. I mean, it's like
it's very difficult.
At high end, like it is.
I'm just talking in general.
Like top tier, yeah. I mean, in general, I mean, even in ranked queue, and people say this as a bit of a meme, but like I'm on plenty of teams where Firebrand teams lose, and I don't know if it's just because of inexperience of players, but like when people, it's almost like a mentality when people go into games and like, oh, that guy's a Firebrand, that team's gonna win, and that triggers Saw and tilts the team to lose, but on average, I mean, if you can get a little bit coordinated, you can actually kill the Firebrand first.
Oh yeah,
before anything else. But like, you're right. I mean, I don't know what they need to do with Firebrand. I think they
need to reduce the healing first and foremost.
Yeah, I don't mind the healing.
It does so much. I mean, Resolve was already strong on Guardian, and then they buffed it, which
but like, if you ridiculous. Make it's numbers and things like that, I'm always a bit hesitant about. I think it's things like increasing cooldown counts, like things like that, increasing the availability of skills that actually produce healing and stuff. I think might be easier than numbers. I don't actually know. I guess it's still numbers, but like I always think a lot of the balance should come from like just cooldowns. Sometimes I don't know.
I'll pick at you going crazy, dude.
Going crazy again.
Yeah, he can't help it. He just keeps doing that. Keeps doing this. But anyway, what a lad, dude.
He's a good guy.
What a lad. He doesn't. Thing is, like, this is actually, guys, I'm just gonna give you guys a secret. This is actually malicious. He just really hates plebs. Okay. He doesn't like plebs. He doesn't like seeing them in chat. It triggers him.
Topic. Not that I stream anymore, but there's a lot of plebs whenever I stream.
Yeah, same. The plebs. There's so many. Yeah.
But if
TeaPot's not the only streamer.
Hey, wait, what? I'm not.
He is.
Wait, anyway.
Twitch is the Mighty Like.
Anyway,
TeaPot's like, no, they're taking the money away.
Yeah. No, get them out. Get them all out. Shut them all down. Anyway, but bringing it back to the kind of the original, the point. The huge thing is that this is such a, in my opinion, this is a massive step for improving the PvP experience, right? It's going to be the fact that they're now willing to address things outside of their big balance patch.
And they're responding to feedback too. It's not like they just asked a question and didn't answer.
Because this has been asked for a very, very long time. Like, we've complained about it on TeaTime. Everyone complains about it on the forums constantly and in game. Everyone's going crazy. This is a huge thing that now
it's a big step in the right direction.
There can be tweaks to address things between the large quarterly balance patches in all game modes, and hopefully they do some splitting as well, because I just want to say this, like, I know what everyone's thinking, guys, okay? If they do this, they are going to smash Scourge in PvE into the ground. Like, so oh man, no, please balance split it, Arena. Please balance split it. Let me play my Necro. Well, I'll play it anyway. But anyway, that's the point.
Isn't that going to affect raids in general for Condi builds?
Isn't it just going to be the same? It's just going to take you longer to reach your
right. But if there's different phases, like
if there's phases,
quickly, then you have to build it up again.
Yeah.
But then won't they just raise those numbers? Like when you get to this certain point, like won't they just increase the DPS so it can just like when you're talking about actual per second damage that it kind of evens out? Like
no, I think the skills will be the same overall damage, because like if you have 3 stacks of burning for 4 seconds, it'll be 1 stack for 12 seconds, which is the same amount of damage, but just over a longer period of time.
Right?
Yeah. Well, so if you're able to,
like
if you're a good group,
would phase it faster.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a very good group, you're probably going to want to take less Condi builds.
Yes, exactly.
Or at least have it even.
There's what? Scourge's condition at the moment. Warrior's condition.
Mirage's condition.
Taking Mirages?
Yeah, there's a lot of condition builds.
I didn't know if you're taking Mirages at the moment. What else? There's no Condi Druid anymore.
That is a good. That Base was actually a really good point. If they actually make this change, they'll actually make one of the biggest problems with Necro worse, and they might have to do something to Epidemic, because if they make the stacks longer, it means Epidemic is way better than it already was. So it might get even more abusive on that, which is actually kind of funny.
I would love if Epidemic became a problem again in World vs. World.
If they make the stacks longer, well, I don't think it will be a problem in World vs. World, because like if you get hit by 25 of every condition, it's not like the duration actually matters, right?
Yeah, I don't know if this is even going to affect World vs. World that much.
Well, because it won't. But I don't know. I really hope they're quite careful with this, right? Because
I forget. Is Epidemic, when you do it, it gives its own new duration, or is it its old duration?
It copies the duration. It copies the duration. Okay. But anyway, I really hope they're careful with this, because they have. I've actually heard, guys. Get excited, get hyped. Because I've heard, someone told me that the nerfs to Condi Warrior, well, the ramp up on Condi Warrior is going to be so slow that Power Warrior will actually come back on certain bosses.
I can't wait, dude.
I mean, that's how they're doing this to try to bring Power Reaper back.
It's going to be, so apparently Arenanet are not pulling punches on this one, so they're really going to try and address the ramp. Because the thing is, that is actually a legitimate concern, okay? Condi Warrior has been quote-unquote broken for way too long. It's been there is no reason to ever play Power Warrior on any boss, okay? Because Condi Warrior, it even bursts harder than Power Warrior pretty much. Like even on Keep Construct, where burst is the only thing that really matters, you still play Condi Warrior. It's still better. So so they're gonna try and bring Power Warrior back, man. Buff Power Warrior by destroying Condi Warrior. I mean, yeah, pretty much, man.
It's like saying buff Power Reaper by destroying Scourge. This is what's gonna happen.
But here's the thing, that might happen, Boots. That might fucking happen. But yeah, they need to. The thing is, they can't really. Again, this is where the balance thing comes in, because
we're just gonna run 8 Dragon Hunters.
Because they have to buff. If they want to buff Power Reaper, they have to do it in PvE, because Power Reaper is already pretty good in the other game modes in PvP and World vs. World. It might not. It's no Scourge. Is it?
I wouldn't. No, I don't think anyone would ever run Power Reaper over Scourge at the moment.
I'm saying it's not bad. It's a decent build.
I've climbed to. I'm just below plat on just Reaper now, and it's not bad.
You can run it, but I mean, if you really like, I think for tournaments, you're never going to see it.
I mean, other than ours, if people decide to stack Necros again.
Yeah. Yes. Cool. Yeah, you mentioned that once or twice.
But in any case, right? I mean. They need to balance play here. Like it's crucial. It's crucial. Okay, even between PvP and World vs. World, like they both need different things, right? They both need different things. Yeah. Their things need to be addressed to make sure you can kind of have fun in every game mode. Like, I'm fine. It's okay if some things like complete shit in different game modes, right? That is just the way of things, and that's fine. But
yeah, fine.
I would urge Arenanet to try and balance split a few things, to make sure you don't just like shit all over everyone's favorite build. Like Scourge, please leave it alone. I like Necro a lot, and yes, I know it's too good in PvP and World vs. World. It's very, very oppressive. Okay, but don't just fucking delete it, dude. There's no need. There's no need.
Do you think when making these wide sweeping Condi changes, they are going to split between PvE and competitive stuff?
I don't think.
I really hope they do, but.
I hope, yeah, it would be nice if they did. I mean, who knows? They sort of surprised us with this, what they've done so far, as far as the discussions and the feedback. So maybe, but I would be very surprised if they started
did have some
skill splitting.
But I think it's
they've done a
few.
They've done a bit. Well, then they need to put more resources into balance, in my opinion. I mean, that's huge. I think balance is so important to the game. The whole game.
Yeah.
And they don't,
We've been there since the launch though with this.
So
it's just never gonna happen.
Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it just because they haven't.
I'm not saying they shouldn't. I just don't have any expectations that they'll ever do.
I don't think they're gonna split. I think though it's interesting that they're doing such a change that'll affect quite a lot of stuff right before the holidays, and they're gonna be gone during the holidays. And so if there's any issues from this kind of balance patch, they have a week to solve them, basically, I assume. So
this is the thing. This is the thing. When any game brings out like such a massive change like this, they have to be prepared to make the smaller changes at least once a week until it's fixed, because that is the problem. That is one of the main problems, because this is what happened with flipping Chronomancer. When we had Pro League for Season 1, it fucked everything.
It killed
it killed our scene. Like, it literally destroyed it. Like, it was not destroyed it, because we still had.
I think I would say destroyed it. Was underselling it, but
yeah. I mean,
it's not my fault at all.
It was the worst. It was the absolute worst. When I was in Leicester, like casting from their studios, I was embarrassed. I was just like, I literally had to say, I think I remember saying something like, oh, you know, this Chronomancer technically has won this fight because it's decapped. And I was like,
I remember like one of the highest, one of the finals was like 0 to 30 points in the end at 15 minutes in.
Because no one could cap anything, because it's a stupid build.
And it was like,
oh my god.
You should not be like that. That's just, honestly, jokes aside, that is something that cannot happen. It's not that it shouldn't happen, it cannot happen. That a build like that, or skills like that, or, you know, whatever, go on for months on end. And it's not like, you know, it would be one thing if no one was saying anything about it, but there were definitely people saying stuff about it, and nothing happened.
4 or 5 people were watching it. No, 4 or 5,000 people, sorry, were watching it. You know, like everyone in chat was just like, and I was even like, you know what I'm like when I get excited about something, like I can be chill and then I'll get hype about something. But that even me, I was like, I don't know what to do here. Like, I don't know how to cast this. Like, this is just a new, like, I just have to be completely professional and not try and be like, guys, this fucking sucks. Because it does. And I was just like, it was depressing. Like, afterwards, after the show, I was just like, this is the worst. This is probably the worst cast I've ever had. Like,
feels
just
bad,
in terms
man.
of my own enjoyment of the game.
The Mesmer's at 99% health, at 98% health. This is
we gotta get him
all game.
Gotta get him.
The thing is, it's not even that. It's just the pace of the whole game just slows down.
So much.
I probably would have just walked out. Like, it's so, you know. Anyways, the point is, with this big change to how a major component of the game works, conditions, you know, and obviously adding a lot of new features into PvP and stuff, they do need to be very on top of it. They need to change how they've done things in the past. You know, they can't throw this change in, wait 3 months, and then be like, oh, okay, let's, you know, now we can change something. You know, it has to be within a couple weeks. It has to be, you know, every other week or whatever they're changing something at least. You know, I mean, every other game that has any sort of competitive mode is balanced, like, you know, bi-weekly usually, if not monthly. So, that's
the key thing is going to be the consistency. The key thing is going to be that consistency, and
when you
keeping
have
up with this.
Change, that's the most important thing. Like, that's the important thing. Like, I mean, if I can accept now, I mean, it's been years. I think we know that the way they do things in terms of balance patching, even though we want it to be more frequent, we want it to be, you know, every couple of weeks to have some kind of balance instigated. It's not going to happen, and if it happens, hopefully it does. I would love it to, but when they have massive changes like this, it's a basic lesson they just need to learn. They need to get it sorted, and sometimes they actually have done that in the past. And maybe it's not as easy as I think it is. Of course, I don't know that much about game design. I'm starting to know more about game design, but obviously it's not as easy as saying, you know, we're going to flip this switch.
Oh, yeah.
And we all know that. We're not stupid. But it's important because it can kill the game. It can kill the game modes. It will be like, you know what, guys, we've got all this awesome stuff, but it's broken. And then it's like they come back and they're just like,
it's not enjoyable to play at all. The nice thing is, though, you know, with this, the you know, all the topics on the forums and stuff that they released about PvP, you know, again, sort of what I was saying earlier. It's not like they just asked a question and then didn't respond to anything that was said. Yeah. It's not like they just, you know, just left everyone on their own to do their thing. You know, they kept responding, and so my hope
it's like an AMA sort of over like a couple of weeks or something.
Right. Yeah, and you know, Ben was doing a really good job. There was a guy on Reddit, Arenanet Raymond, I think, who I am unfamiliar with, but he's apparently part of the World vs. World team. He was answering a lot of questions on the Reddit as well in the World vs. World thread. So I'm hoping that they sort of take this same mentality where they they're asking questions, they're talking about what they're planning to do, and they're actually responding to players, and they do the same thing with the balancing and the additions that they're adding to the game. So
Speaking of World vs. World, Roy. So touched on it really quickly earlier. You read apparently the World vs. World frequently asked questions. Do you have any thoughts?
Read that?
Yeah.
I really don't think you want to hear my thoughts.
Good. Do it.
I think I just want to hear your thoughts on the last one.
Wait.
Oh, the tournament?
The tournament
part?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So she says they're not going to have any more tournaments because the format of the previous tournaments was bad. And I agree. So why don't they change the format?
What are you talking about? Boots cut out for me when you were talking.
World vs. World.
There's on the forum. There's World vs. World frequently asked questions. Question and answer written by Dev, I believe.
Yeah.
McKenna Bairdrow.
And they're talking about seasons. The World vs. World seasons, Jebro, right?
The seasons. Yeah, they started that.
Yeah. But no, I think it's about many things in general.
They don't want to.
Well, yeah, no, it was the majority of the. Well, okay. First of all, the majority of what she wrote was like stuff that has been said many times, so it's not really.
Which is good
new.
that it's there now. We're frequently asked questions. That's what it's for.
Right, but it's not like there was a lot of new information introduced. But the last frequently asked question she wrote on there was she was saying people ask, do you have plans for future tournaments or seasons, whatever you want to call them? And she said no because the format of the previous ones were bad, and I agree. That's basically what she said.
It was
okay. The format caused a lot of burnout.
Yeah.
And she's not necessarily wrong, but again, I don't just change the format of the tournaments. Like,
shouldn't they have just been shorter, but like more consistent? Like shorter.
They should have been shorter. The achievements needed to have been changed. The fact that you consistently got the same matchup over and over again was terrible. The rewards were a joke.
How many were there? 2 or 3 or something?
There were 4, I think. I'm pretty sure there were 4.
How long did they last for? Do you remember? I played in the first one.
I don't know if they were all. I'm pretty sure they were different.
They were.
I know one of them. It's just I didn't play all of them. I only played the last 2, and this might be wrong. I think it was one of them was I believe 8 months. 8 weeks. 8 months. That would be very
That's like an actual. I understand.
That'll be, dude. That'll be epic. Think how cool that'll be, though. Like the World vs. World season takes 8 months to finish.
Yeah, but it's
a grueling tournament.
That would be.
It takes a whole year to find the winner between the servers.
Hell
yeah, dude.
There
were a lot of issues with them. And we've talked about this in previous TeaTimes that were focused on World vs. World, which is why I didn't want to get into this too much because this isn't supposed to be about World vs. World, but. Yeah, the format was not great. They definitely should have changed it. But I just think it's silly that that they're basically saying they don't plan to do more tournaments because the previous ones were bad. But just change them. Like, take all the player feedback that you got over the last 5 years about them, because there's a lot, and change them. And even if they're not good, I'd rather see them try something and have it not work out.
It's also such a weird thing to write in a frequently asked question. Because it's like it seems as though this is a definitive statement that there will be no more World versus World tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think there were going to be honest.
I don't think that was the correct way to maybe say that. They should probably not say no. There's not going to be any more because you destroy any.
Any hope that there might be one.
Very careful. Yeah, I mean, there is just as an example of something another game's doing. I don't know if you guys have. Roy has probably heard of Crowfall. But that game, I mean, in terms of what they're going to be doing with their, it's going to be an RVR game. It's going to be realm versus realm, right? And basically they're going to have, scenarios, what they're called, where you have a certain amount of time and this specific scenario is occurring, and it'll be over the course of, a month or something like that. and then the scenario completely changes, and there's different effects on the map and different things which can change fights, like something's more strong than something else, for example. I really think something like that is something they could do with World v World, where every month it's like something different. Like there's, maybe Condi damage is more strong than power builds or something like that.
Or like golems everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's something else on the map which makes it a little bit more interesting. So every month or something, there is some kind of change. I don't know, just something to revitalize it, because I don't know, I think there's so many games coming out with World v World and stuff soon that are just gonna, put all over.
Sorry, I'm reading the cup of pasta.
Jebro. No. Right, so, okay. But yeah, I don't know. I think World v World is like, yeah.
I would be really excited to see.
You're just throwing it to the side, Jebro?
I would be really excited to see
4 years
in
ago,
the deep dark future, guys, if we saw like an automated tournament for World versus World. That how cool would that be?
Well, hold on. For World versus
World,
it would
have to be skirmish based, right?
An automated tournament for World versus World?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How would that even work?
Well, you can't you wouldn't enter it as
automated World versus World seasons. Fine, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Just have instead of it just stopping, have it just keep going round.
Just like an announcement that says this hour, let's say, of this week, the skirmishes count as a tournament. And at the end of this hour, the person with the most skirmish crap wins this awesome prize.
Okay. No.
Well,
no.
Okay.
It's bad tournaments.
I mean, it's better if the problem is burnouts.
I know what you mean, though.
If the problem is burnouts, then like reduce the amount of time it takes to do this kind of thing.
Well, to be honest, yeah, and the whole burnout thing isn't wrong, but at the same time, like it also wasn't a reason to not continue tournaments, because the amount of participation during the tournaments was insane.
Yeah,
I mean. I don't know if you played World vs. World at all during the last, when they updated the rewards, right? When they added the big patch with tips and stuff. World vs. World sort of exploded as far as how many people were playing it. Yeah. I mean, imagine that like tenfold. Well, not, it's a bit exaggeration, but a lot more. And, those were the seasons. And yes, obviously there was burnout, the few weeks following the end of the season, because people had just put a shitload of time and effort into playing, World vs. World. But that doesn't mean people didn't enjoy it. Again, it was there were other issues that were a lot more present and a lot more important that need to be fixed in regard to the tournaments. But at the moment, I don't even think making a tournament would really make any sense, because there's much bigger issues with the World vs. World in general that need to be addressed before you would add tournaments. I mean, Vabi would just win.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, right? The way the game is right now is a big problem. You'd have to figure out. You'd have to figure out how to incentivize. Weaker servers doing, not just bandwagoning.
Oh, they just need to change the. Oh, the other comment she made, or one of the other questions she wrote was, about resetting the servers, so deleting them all and reshuffling them or whatever. And she said that, and this is something I didn't really like. She said there were things that they can't discuss with players about that were stopping them from doing it. Which, I mean, what could that possibly mean? And also the fact, it's been 2 years with the same system now, with the server links. What do you mean get rid of servers? Just have one server and that's where the server.
Just have it every month. Like I said, something similar scenario. You are literally put into, like, according to your guild or whatever, I don't know what, but like you're put into a scenario where all these players are divided into a place where everyone can play. Versus people, rather than empty dead maps. There are a lot of different
ideas about how they could change it, but the thing is, they haven't tried anything, and that's what the biggest issue for me is. Like, I don't care if they completely fuck it up. I just want them to try something. It's like, again, it's just been 2 years.
Because servers only have one. Because servers are like only for World v World, really, and regions.
Right.
Like literally for those two reasons.
Since the mega server change and
we've talked about this for a while, yeah.
Yeah, and
how much does it cost? It's so much. It's so many gems to just
1,800 or something.
Oh yeah, that's just the weird thing too. The server populations, like there's almost no medium or high servers anymore. They're all either full or very high. there's a few high servers, right? But like there are way less players playing World vs. World than there used to. Like, how are they all full or very high? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, it's just like PvE players.
Well,
like, I don't know.
Exactly. It's like
honestly,
a little bit of money and a little bit of disincentivizing people from switching servers.
No, you gotta hear me out here, because I actually think that is probably justifiable if you read what she says here. Right? It says that the hours of they base the stuff on the hours of participation of players, right? Or how they define a full server. We adjust based on average weekly playtime. And what happened when they added pips to the game? You have a lot of people like twitch.tv/Doroya who will simply every week, and a lot of I know a lot of PvE players who do this, right? A lot of PvE players do this. They will log in to World vs. World on reset at night usually to farm outnumbered, and they will literally do that for 12 hours. In a row. It
doesn't really affect much, though.
But that's the playtime. A lot of people do this. Like,
right, yeah.
No, I mean, not just one guy. Not just one guy, I mean. But, I mean, like, a lot of people actually do this. They will just grind the pips up because they want the rewards. They want the rewards. Yeah, I
got triggered emote?
No, I ain't triggered, boy. I'm just saying. That's how it is.
Before we turn this whole thing into a big World vs. World discussion, because we've done this before. Like I think a lot of people probably don't care. But I would like to see something similar to the PvP threads. You know how they put out a lot of topics with the PvP, because they made an FAQ, but it was locked. Like what are we supposed to do? That obviously there's a thread on Reddit, but I saw this Arenanet Raymond guy. He was responding, and I said before this was nice, and it is nice to see him responding. But I feel like it would have been nicer to see this on the forums with McKenna, the person who made this post, saying responding directly to players, and not just have an FAQ. Like there are a lot of other things that weren't in this FAQ that I think World vs. World players are concerned about. So I would like to see them do something similar. I don't know why they decided to do it like this. It doesn't really make sense. But
well, the fact that they're saying that they're not going to be doing any new tournaments really makes me think that they're not, at least currently, concentrated on World vs. World in any way, shape, or form. So.
Oh, really? I never would have thought that.
I know. So.
That's been
but we've had so many updates recently with gliding,
of course,
and Overwatch being changed.
Yeah.
They changed the tower.
Yeah.
Don't get him started. Don't get him started.
So maybe if they are able to fix PvP with this communication, they'll then have time to work on World vs. World.
Yeah,
but
this could be the first step in the revolution.
The problem is though, man. You know what the problem is? Like, if you actually compare the scale of the project, PvP is in my opinion a much easier system to adjust than World vs. World. In fact, I would say that even though PvE is probably the biggest part of the game, right? It's everywhere. PvE is all over the place, right? However, I would say World vs. World is by far the most difficult system to adjust, and it also conveniently has the smallest team from Arenanet. Right, so changing anything must take, I don't even know, like an unbelievable amount of time. It must be impossible to fix this. Also, I do want to clarify, I'm really not upset at all by PvE players farming picks. That's totally fine by me. I'm just saying that measuring if the server is full by this metric is just. You end up with something like Deso, right? You end up with Desolation, which is like, it's not. It doesn't work. It's not a good way of measuring it.
There's always been a really big disconnect, in my opinion, between the Arenanet and World of World players, and I think it's reflected in changes or lack of changes they make in World of World. Like again, why is Deso full? There's no reason for Deso to be full. Why were Underworld and Vab linked? There's no reason for them to be linked. And it's, who knows? Maybe we'll see change. I don't know. You got to see. I mean, again, if they added ATs for GVG, that's going to make the GVG scene better, but it's not going to affect World vs. World. Why is JQ full? Yeah. On an A. Yeah, I really only talk about EU. Sorry, NA players. My bad.
I can't get back on
betraying our country.
What kind of amuses me about this is that a server could be defined as full if two servers could both be full, but one of the servers could have half the people that just play twice as much. I don't know. Right. That just seems like a very unusual way of measuring it. That's not
or
that's
AFK twice as much.
Yeah. So for example, they could be Vabi, right? I would say is a very high participation server. They fight a lot. They have big guilds. They run around big groups. But then you could have a server with like half the players, but they just AFK the entire time, and that could also be a full server. I mean, what? It just seems like a little bit unusual to do it in that way, if you ask me. So you could have you could have one server that basically doesn't do anything except that you could have an entire server that AFKs and just does like the side cap thing where you stay at spawn, you wait till the north cap gets camped, you go over there and cap it, you go back to spawn, then you go back to the camp like this way on the map. You just repeat that until you've got all your pips. Like you could have an entire server doing that.
And Vabi isn't even full. Like.
Yeah, and Vabi is open, man.
Open. I mean, that's such a joke. It's such a joke.
I mean, I don't know. We whenever we talk about World vs. World, we always talk about this, but this is where Arenanet needs to get their hands dirty, man, and kind of get in on this stuff if they want to actually fix this.
I'm telling you, man. They just need to get a World vs. World player to organize the links. That's all they need to do.
And here's the thing, though. I actually have the counter argument to that, unfortunately, right? And this is what Arenanet would say, and they would be right in saying this, by the way. If you ask 2 World vs. World players how you should fix World vs. World, no, worse. You'll get 3 opinions, Roy. Okay. And if you keep adding more World vs. World players, it gets even worse. There is
a majority opinion, though. There usually is a majority opinion. To be fair,
that is true. Yeah, I will grant you that. And I definitely think that there needs to be player input on this because I think
there is player input. It's just not listened to.
No. That's what I mean. There needs to be player input actually being received, right? Because unfortunately, we are in a situation where, and I mean no disrespect to Arenanet in this. I think they are a bit. I'm going to see some like Omega laws in the chat after this. A bit disconnected from World vs. World as a game mode. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Well, and they maybe need a little bit of help catching up. They need a refresher course, man, on how World vs. World is supposed to go down. Them doing it on their own is kind of.
They've had so much. The thing is, the teams in terms of teams and everything else, and it's like, is there actually a world? Are they counted as a World v World team, or is it still under competitive?
Is it a part-time intern?
They changed it. Like they don't have they've changed their teams all the time. They're a very they said this was like a competitive team, and it's like is there a competitive team? Like is it the competitive team who do World v World? Like I'm not actually sure 100% myself anymore, but. I think, if you remember when John Corpening was there as well, like he was technically in charge of World v World for a while. Like they had a solid.
Also, Devin Carter at one point, who I liked.
Yeah. But now I'm not sure. Like when she's signed on the forums, like McKenna or whoever, like it's not like World v World team, is it? It's like game designer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's the one who always posts the World vs. World topics usually. I think she seems to be a World vs. World dev. And again, like I said before, this other guy who I'd never heard of before, he was the only ANET person I saw on the thread who was answering stuff. So I assume he's part of the World vs. World team. But yeah,
And the teams seem to have a lot of kind of cross-pollination, right? They seem to work together. For example. Although they have the World vs. World team. Suppose you have, that's exactly what that's exactly it though. That's what I mean. So although you might look like, I mean, like a good example is the raid team, for example. There are like 6 guys on the raid team. So six devs on the raid team, or something like that. Something like quite a small number. However, obviously they will, if they need an environment design, they'll say, "Hey, environment team, hook me up, buddy." Of course. And that raid team will feed to the balance team, and say, "Hey, like this is we're seeing these you're seeing these QTSC speedruns, saying, maybe we should fix this." Like they'll feed into the balance team, and then the balance team will kind of mash that together and make a patch. So it's not as straightforward as you might think.
Where do you think the feedback from the Mount recoloring team goes to? Because I mean, that probably has the most amount of devs working on it, right?
Roy's so jaded.
He's so jaded now.
man.
He's so yeah.
Right, man.
I'm not.
He started out so positive at the beginning.
I'm still positive, man. This is gonna be great.
He is. That's true.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as you might think. Even though there's only 1 or 2 devs on the World versus World team, they have people assisting them.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But that's obvious. But like, it's definitely less focused than it used to be.
No, but I mean, I see a lot of people going like, "Oh, he XD Omega lol." Like, there's 1 World versus 0 World versus World team. What World versus World team, right? So that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, but it makes sense. Like, if their focus isn't that game mode, they can't have teams like that. They just can't have.
Yeah. It's a very good question, though, because I think there is a World versus World team, because in the frequently asked questions, they say, does the World versus World team handle skills and balance in other professions? And they say, no, that's the skills and balance team. So that implies that there is a World versus World team that does stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
they'll work on other stuff as well.
I mean, that you could assume that. It also could be they just didn't want to write the World vs. World dev instead of the World vs. World team, or the part, whatever. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know. But that's the other thing. It's just there needs to be more communication. I think that would be the best way to start. Is there needs to be better communication. And again, they just did this with PvP, right? There's now better communication. Obviously, we have to see if they follow up on it. If they follow up on it, that's awesome. If they start doing it with World vs. World, that's awesome. It's kind of a guessing game at this point, I guess.
Yeah. The question is, that's what I was trying to get to with my point, though. There is a World versus World team. We don't know how many people that might be, but or how many person that might be. But what are they doing right now? Nobody knows on the player side, right? Like, are they working on besides implementing the Obsidian weapons that are coming with the PvP stuff? What's happening, right? Are they trying to work on server population? Are they trying to work on a new form of World versus World?
I doubt it.
They're obviously not doing tournaments.
They're not going to do tournaments. They said they're not. I mean, as far as the population stuff goes, I think they're just going to stick with what they have now, because they said they don't plan to reshuffle the servers. Yeah, I don't think they're doing that. I have no clue what they're working on. But
however, to bring it full circle, now that we have this PvP thread, maybe we see a World versus World one in a little bit down the line. Because I think this is actually the beginning of something great. Okay? This is the beginning. It's happening. Arenanet's going to talk to us. Read the stream title. Okay? It's happening, guys.
What is the stream title?
I thought it was not done.
Oh, are we getting Arenanet on TeaTime?
Yeah. Wait, Arenanet on TeaTime?
Dude, you should get McKenna on here. I'd love to talk to her.
Would you be polite?
No, wow. You're saying she wouldn't want to talk to me.
Well, I don't know. It depends if you start flaming. I don't know.
I'm not gonna.
Do you remember back in the day, PvP? There was a PvP podcast that Grouch used to run before he worked at Arenanet. We used to have devs on this podcast.
That was called.
Get Jessica Price on TeaTime.
Something red. No, what was it called? Shit. What was the PvP podcast called? I forget now.
What, State of the Game?
State of the Game, yeah.
Was that it? There was something else though.
It was John. There was Chap as well. Chap was on that. Was it State of the Game?
No.
I mean, I've got to Google this. It was by Curse, wasn't it?
What?
Like Curse sponsored it, I think, as well. Or was that a different one? It was with Grouch anyway, and he used to have devs on there. He had Chap. I think he had Colin. I think Colin was on there as well.
It was like something up, or not Ready Up.
What?
No. Ready Up was something else. That was like guild chat.
There was a guild chat PvP segment. Yeah, didn't they give like gameplay advice on that section or something? They actually talk about the intricacies of the game.
Well, they would talk about what was going on, and then Nightmare or Hugh, as we probably know more as now, then he would do like just basic gameplay tips for like new players, which was actually pretty good. Like it actually helped a lot of like new players. It was actually not a bad idea. But they just don't do that anymore.
Really?
This was a podcast that Grouch did before he actually went and worked at Arenanet. Like this was like
but yeah. Right.
Oh, okay.
It was like a year. This was years ago when Grouch had curly hair.
Wow.
Well, he straightens it now.
He's just got short hair now.
Oh. But in any case, I mean, yeah, we would love to have devs. We would love to have devs on TeaTime. But, you know, we nearly had Roy Chronica. You know, he said he would consider coming on, but that was a very long time ago. He used to watch, man.
You could have a double Roy TeaTime.
Double Roy.
Whoa.
Roy on TeaTime.
Yeah. Can we get a third Roy as well? Is there anyone else? We could have 3 Roys.
Is there a Roy in chat?
I think someone changed their name. Is there a Roy in chat?
I guess it's called Roy or something.
Hey,
it's called
not just a name, okay? You gotta have class to be Roy.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Not just anyone can be Roy, huh? Is that?
No, I mean, that's why they named a camp after me in the Desert Borderlands.
Yeah. Roy's Refuge.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It wasn't after the dev.
No.
Of course, yeah. I don't know. World versus world, man. I'm telling you, they're gonna do something. They're gonna do a thread where you can post angrily on the forums and be really mean. And
I mean, yeah, obviously that's what people are gonna say, right? Like anytime there's some sort of discussion about Worldless Roll, all the Worldless Roll players go and they, say things like stuff like I've said probably. And I mean, they're not wrong, but like it's not just that. There are people that do, talk about it seriously and offer suggestions and feedback, and it all gets ignored. So yeah, people are a bit jaded about it. So
I want to do something constructive right now.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, I'm a little upset about the possibility of there not being any more War vs. World tournaments. So I would like to brainstorm with you guys of what can be done to address maybe the problem of burnout, but what can be done to make a new World vs. World tournament in the future that would be good and work.
Well, it's not. I don't think burnout is what you want to. Is the problem? The problem is the fact that one server would win, and there will be no way to.
Oh,
defeat
is
the
that
other
a problem?
Server. No,
the problem is that there's a winner.
No, I mean,
but it's that one server would have a very unfair advantage at the moment.
Yeah,
and again,
because everybody bandwagons.
Right
That's
now.
what happened with Henged and
So,
Rally.
But isn't like the core issue, like of anything to do with World v World and getting people in there, is the fact that they dangle this thing in front of you that you can get if you do it, like this cool reward or this cool thing, and that's the incentive.
Really.
That's the incentive for some people to go and do it. But then it's like you can do like this thing where you can log in, like Teapot said, for like 12 hours, and then they're not going to participate for the rest of the time.
That's only been around for 6 months. So prior to those 6 months, so about almost 5 years, the majority of like hardcore World of Warcraft players were not there for rewards because there weren't any. And again, seasons, all the seasons had very, very bad rewards. They, and that's again part of the reason there was so much burnout. People played for 2 months straight, like 10 hours a day. The people would do commanding
World
rotations.
v World was dying before tournaments even came out. Is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to get to the crux of it. Like,
the game has been dying since whatever. Like it's always been down.
The game dies from the day it's released.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's.
I don't think the seasons killed World versus World. Certainly not the idea of the seasons.
Someone makes a good point. Pharma says to make a tournament about people joining World vs. World and playing it a few hours a week rather than. Wait, I don't know. Anyway, well, I think I read it and misunderstood. But what I was gonna say was. I think a major problem with World vs. World having one dominant server is because that server has insane coverage, right?
It used to be that case. That's not really so much anymore.
Because skirmishes kind of helped at that, I guess.
I mean, yes and no. Like, you can still get a ton of points if you have a night crew. But like most servers just don't do that anymore. Like most servers don't really have a
right. But if you're doing a tournament, they would do that, right?
Yeah. But I don't. I mean, yeah. Obviously, the server with more of a varied population and people who are willing to stay up late and stuff. Although, again, first and foremost, before you can start discussing about how you're going to make a tournament better, you have to change, like I said before, the current servers. Because when you had seasons prior, there were 27 servers on EU. And there were 24, I think, on an A. and it was split into 3 tiers. So you had gold, silver, and bronze, and each tier was won by a certain server, right? So you had first and second and third places for each of the tiers. So it was completely different. The way it was set up was completely different than how it is now. Mm-hmm. And the way you have it now, I don't think would work, especially with the disparity between a lot of populations. I mean, Vavi is really the only strong fighting server, in my opinion. FSP
because right now the only reason there's competitive matches is because of server linking, and in any way, shape, or form competitive is because of server linking. Otherwise, you only have a few servers that are high population.
Well, even with server linking, you only have a few servers.
Exactly. So yeah, you're right. So it would be crazy to do a tournament with the current servers.
Yeah, it would be. If you want to talk specifically about how you make the servers better, again, like I said before, I think you need to make the rewards better, because the rewards were like you get 250 uses of a finisher and some tickets.
Not even permanent, and they gave you
they put a statue in your
they put a statue that gives you a one-time buff.
Yeah, you would interact with it, and it would give you like increased experience gain and shit for like an hour. It was like I spent 2 months going hardcore to win that. All right, so off the bat, you got to make rewards better. The achievements were a joke because it basically encouraged, and this upset a lot of the hardcore World of World players, because basically in order to get the maximum amount of rewards from the seasons, assuming your server won, you had to go into World of World, cap 3 centuries, and then you didn't have to go in for 3 weeks or for a week.
Yeah.
And so that's people were literally going into World of World, queuing up the maps, following commanders, just for that.
Of course.
Which didn't help. Again, the length of the seasons wasn't good. Yeah, because I think they should have been a little shorter. And also in the previous, when they used to do matchups by Glico instead of 1 up, 1 down, again, you could get stuck in the exact same matchup. So there were times where I was against the same server for 8 weeks in a row, and you don't want that. Right. And that's also what partially caused the burnout. So,
but I mean, obviously there are a lot of issues that need to be solved before going to a tournament.
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't think they should do tournaments now. I've said this a few times. I don't think doing tournaments would help World of World. I think I wouldn't see a point to do it. I mean, hey, if they were like, oh, every single person on the server who wins gets a free legendary, I'd be like, sure, why not? Like, I want a free legendary. But
no.
Apart from that, there's no reason. It's not going to help World of World in the current state. I don't think. But again,
okay. Hypothetical situation, though. Hypothetical situation. They do somehow fix server populations, whether that's through a new system or just obliterating the current servers and reforming them. And then they do a tournament. Would the old version of the tournament work where you go a week and then another week against different servers and then another week against different servers? Or would it be better to try to negate the problem with coverage and have the matchups only last a few hours on a certain day or something?
Wait, what?
Yeah, so like
you kind of lost me there.
Oh, he wants to negate the problem of the night capping by having it so only a few hours a day actually count.
Yeah, and so that's when you get your hardcore World versus World players on.
Can't do that. I mean, I wouldn't see a reason to do that, because if you let's just say we assume we're going to get a decent population, like let's just say a lot of World vs. World players are going to come back to the game, and guilds are going to come back for the seasons, right? Jebro shaking his head like that'll never happen. In a perfect world, let's just assume that. Like you're not gonna. All right, never mind. I'm done. Sorry, Jebro.
No. I was shaking my head to just.
You just have infinite queues. I mean, as chat is pointing out, the queues
will
be horrible.
Who cares about the queues?
What? No, I care about the queues. I want to get in.
Well, that's why you need to have more servers. Is what you would have to do, right? Because you have.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many. 12. So I don't know. It's again, like I said before, you had 27. Now you have half that. So, what I was just trying to say is, if in a perfect world where you get all these players back and whatnot, there are going to be enough players, and there are going to be players that want to play at those times. So I think completely removing the ability to get points from that wouldn't make any sense. So.
Yeah.
But is
that really a competition worthy of a tournament if it's just backcapping?
Well, yeah, I mean, back then it's not like the night crew thing, or the nighttime points was a the reason that was a problem. It had nothing to do with seasons really. Night crew was a problem because there were like servers like Seafarer's Rest who would win. Well, not necessarily Seafarer's Rest, but there were servers who. Actually, not like Seafarers at all. There were servers who would go very high, and like Baruch Bay, who would only be high in the tiers because they had a night crew. You know, they had 50 people at nighttime when no one else was playing PPTing, and they would win matches because of that. And that was a problem. But during the seasons, again, there were people playing at all times of the day, but like organized, and you would have fights consistently, and you'd be battling people for keeps and stuff, and that was good. Like I don't think it's a problem for seasons specifically. I don't think it's an issue at all for seasons. So,
okay. Go ahead, Jebro. Go ahead.
My problem with World v World has always been a different one. I think, and I don't know if it's a different one for different people or if this is the same opinion. Like, I would argue, like back in the day, like I was there when the GVG, Roy might have been as well on NA, when the GVG scene started, right? Like I was in one of the guilds which was like in it from the start. Like I don't know if anyone remembers Unity back in the day, but like we were a big World v World guild. I came from like Warhammer Online, Dark Age. Like that's where I started in Guild Wars 2. That's why I was playing it in the first place. Like for the first
a lot of people
year and a half. Yeah. And a lot of people came from those games, you know. I mean, there were so many Warhammer Online players in
Redguard
started. Yeah, Redguard,
possibly the most famous Guild Wars 2 guild. Like,
fucking knew those guys like from the other games we'd played, you know, and it was just like that intense. It was, for me, it's all about. It's just the gameplay, like, and what World v World represents. Like, what is it that they're trying to achieve? What do they want to do? Like, for me, like tournaments and rewards and all that kind of stuff just comes in second to the actual fucking gameplay of what's going on. Like, why do people not want to play it anymore? Is it just rewards? And it's like, I guess
I don't think it is.
It's just like,
I mean,
you know, I remember what it was like.
I can tell you, for me, the reason why I've slowed down on playing World versus World is a factor of a few things. I don't really feel connected to a particular server right now, and I haven't for a while, especially after mega servers. So I didn't
I actually think tournaments fucked it up.
A little bit because of bandwagoning. Yeah.
That was when the bandwagoning came in and all the servers split. Like, I think there was only 2 or 3 servers on the EU where everyone was just like, yeah, we're going there because we want rewards.
Yeah. That's what happened. So the first season for me was the best one. For me, the first season was the best one. I was on Emery Bay. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of like subterfuge and interesting things happening during the tournament where we'd team up with one server to take down a bigger server.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it, man.
It was so much fun.
Yeah,
it was so much fun.
But then you didn't have the linking. You would organize these.
Exactly. You'd talk over
like a war, like an actual battle. Like you had the choice to team up. Like these are the things that they needed to add in so early in the game, and something that really bothered me when I started to play World v World was not having collision. And I know collision is a really, really difficult thing to have in a game that's not well optimized. But at the same time, like, I was just like, I want to stand in the front of the gate and block the flipping gate with a shield. Do you know what I mean? Shit like that I really missed from like all these basic kind of Realm v Realm guys. And I'm just like, what about actual mechanics, like these kinds of things that might make things? I mean, I don't even know if
people give
a crap about
that. You can do that now.
You can do it in a way.
With a warrior bubble and a line of warriors.
Yeah, you can. But like, people can just walk through. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's like, is it tournaments, or is it something, you know, adding like base mechanics that might bring in more interest, or different players from other games or like new games that they could borrow and just say, you know what, these guys are doing this in the future. Maybe we can incorporate that. That's the way I actually think they should have gone years ago, rather than messing around with like tournaments specifically. I know rewards are important. We're playing an MMO. They're really important as well. But before, it was never about that. There's a Warhammer Online server going on right now that still has hundreds of people playing it, and the game is dead. The game literally got taken away by EA and Mythic. They just they ended it, and the group of guys recreated the game, and there's hundreds of people playing it. I still play it as well myself. It's fucking epic. Realm v Realm combat. It's just all about the fights, and that's all it should be, really. Essentially, obviously you want rewards, but it's still got that core gameplay that you just cannot get anywhere else. That's just so good. And I just think that's what's missing. Ever since they brought in the tournaments, the wrong reasons for people to switch servers and destroy that core essence of what it really was about, which is what Roy was saying with Redguard. Redguard was what World v World was about. Like, they even changed fucking regions to go and destroy people. Do you know what I mean? They were like this mercenary group.
We did that too, man. Ash went over to NA.
Yeah, I didn't.
There was a
There's a lot of guilds. There's a lot of guilds that have done it. TA did it. Everything Purple went to EU. Yeah.
On in every bay, the one claim to fame we had was one guild that was a Zerg busting guild, which was great. I forget their name, but oh man, they were great. They had
always have that guy who would be like the epic scout on your server. You know, you'd be like, oh, he's doing it. And they just communicate with them across the sun. They probably still do that. I don't know.
Scouting's pretty much dead at this point.
I think
because of the balloons.
There are ways. I think there's a ways to implement the tournament that could kind of kill two birds with one stone. You can probably reinvigorate kind of the server memes. The pride, the pride of being somewhere, of having that organization, but also get people into the game by implementing rewards. And the way that I would think about doing this, I would probably have two sections of it. I would have two ways of doing the rewards. For a start, you'd have to you'd divide the servers up into probably tiers. You'd try to use the tier system in some way to implement this, but you'd have the servers competing against each other, so it's not as a complete shitfest and a stomp fest. That would be silly. But I would probably have I'd have to really sit down and think about this. I'd have to really sit down and think about
several weeks leading up to it where you don't link servers and are able to place people in tiers based on the performance.
So they get but then again, you can manipulate this. But I'm just I'm going to assume people aren't going to be assholes. Okay, I'm going to assume that. I think
you cannot assume that.
No, you
cannot assume that.
You can.
I just think they need to abolish servers. Just abolish them and then reform people every month, like reform somehow get people so they can select a server for that month or whatever, and obviously limit it. But I don't know.
That's a great idea, just because there was back when server pride was a thing, I thought server pride was actually good.
I agree completely.
I think wanting to win because you want your server to be better than other servers was really good.
Yes.
And I think if you can make that the biggest incentive for winning a season or just winning in general, then you have done a good job.
This is how you can do both, though. That's the thing. As I was trying to say, what you want is you want to have two rewards. And you could maybe even integrate guilds into this somehow. This is a kind of interesting thought, actually.
Oh, by the way,
you have a server reward, and it would probably apply. I would probably have some kind of actual permanent reward for doing this.
Loyalty.
No, not exactly. No, not loyalty. No. You have it such that the server winning is good for everyone on the server, right? But it's also good. Maybe some kind of permanent bonus,
not a 250 charge gold.
Infinitesimal permanent bonus if you win. I'd probably make it quite insignificant, and you get rewards for winning. The server that wins gets a loot chest that's got good stuff for winning. But also, I would have a personal reward as well. So the more you contribute, calculate the amount of score you have added. Right? It doesn't matter if it's kills or if it's PPT, the amount of points you have contributed to would give you a personal reward for participating as well. So you'd have the reward for your server doing well, then you'd have the reward for you doing well. And I'd probably integrate the guild systems. If you were to play in a squad with 15 people, it would make it better. You get slightly better rewards for playing with a guild, playing with a group, instead of just going around randomly.
You think so, though?
Yes.
Because already playing in a group, you are able to achieve more things. So
yes, I would make it extremely explicit that I want to incentivize that as an Arenanet dev.
Oh, okay. So destroy Rome.
What thing is?
No one cares about fucking roaming, dude. Come on.
Hey, Shin's in the channel.
Yeah,
Shin's in chat. Give him a break.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people who roam. Honestly, Like I think roaming is a lot of fun. I used to do it a bit, and I mean I was awful at it, of course. But I think roaming is a lot of fun. And but you know they.
Roaming is definitely the competitive keep PvP like mentality of want to try and get a good fight basically.
Right. I mean, I think it'd be great if you could go into World World and roam and like it would be good, but that's not the case.
And also, by the way, in chat, if anyone says don't incentivize group gameplay like Sadrian, no, I completely disagree. I completely, absolutely, categorically disagree. Like, World vs. World is group gameplay, man. It's team gameplay. The reason why World vs. World is fun is because you can have like 20, 30 of your friends going crazy and like fighting another 20, 30 people. Like, to me, that is the game mode, right? That is the best part about it. It's so much fun. Like, incentivizing that is what we should be doing. It should be advantageous. It should be better in rewards and in fun, which it is, by the way. Like playing a small group. I'm not, dude. Like, it's not triggered. This is me just being passionate, guys. Like, come on. If I was triggered, I'd be like calling people retards or something. Dude. Like, I'm not. I mean, even then, that's not really me triggered. That's just me on a normal stream, dude. But never mind. You'd know, but
I mean, no, I absolutely agree. I got into World vs. World because of the community aspect and the fact that you played with large groups of people, and I mean, that's why I wanted to command, because I loved that idea that I was yelling at 60 other people and telling them what to do.
Yeah, man,
like,
it's legit.
I think that's great.
It's hype.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think, and again, going back to Jebro, you were saying, you don't think rewards should be the primary objective. I completely agree, and they haven't been. Again, rewards have really only been an actual thing in World vs. World for about 6 months now. The majority of the hardcore veteran World vs. World players and GVGers were never there for rewards. They were just there because they enjoyed playing the game.
Community.
Times change, dude.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying that there should be rewards, because I think that'll incentivize some new players to come in. And I mean, I wasn't a World vs. World player from the beginning. I was a PvEer, and I came into World vs. World and I really started enjoying it. So that's sort of the hope, that new players will come in for the rewards and then stay.
Why did you start playing it? Like, was it a tournament?
I was doing my dailies, and I came into World vs. World, and I got on TeamSpeak with the server TeamSpeak with a commander, and then I really liked it. I wanted to get more involved, with the community, the organization of it, because I mean, PvE at that point was like you did dungeons and fractals and stuff, and I mean, that's cool. It's fun and stuff. But, I like the idea of, running servers and trying to beat other servers and beat other players.
So can we say at least that for you, I know we've already discussed this, that you talk to two World vs. World people and they'll have 3 different opinions. But for you, World vs. World would come back to being something that you enjoy. Well, obviously you still enjoy it, but World vs. World would be improved for you if they somehow brought back that kind of server pride or something like it.
I think killing server pride was a mistake. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's really hard to, but the thing is, it's just so difficult to make server pride a thing. I don't know how you.
Server pride was definitely destroyed by the tournaments.
Yeah. The second tournament. It did, because the second tournament, when they reduced the price of server transfers to 0 for certain servers, that was a mistake.
It was the first season. I'll give you this example. I was on Aurora Glade, right? I think we had 4 guilds, 3 or 4 guilds who were always working together, and we would do, like you said, you'd have these treaties, whatever, with other servers, whatever. And basically, when tournaments started, everyone fled. Not everyone, but 2 or 3 guilds with big communities, populations. This community we'd built in terms of server pride literally ripped apart. All went to one server, and that experience for me is the worst thing that happened, and that is when my World vs. World experience.
So I guess the question is, can you rebuild a server pride kind of thing? And if you can, does it have to be servers?
I think it has been to a degree, hasn't it? People are now, because it's kind of evened out a little bit more. I mean, because that was the cataclysm, right? It was it's literally servers got ripped apart. That's what happened. I was in that scene every day for 10 or 12 hours. That was my game mode, man.
Is it possible to rebuild
I'm still angry about it.
Through something like making it actual Guild Wars?
That's what.
Can you rebuild server pride by making it Guild Pride instead?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That was my point, man. That's the whole point.
Okay, I didn't hear you.
The point is that you would make it not just about having the biggest dick server with the most players on it that can just run around going crazy and smashing everything. You make it about doing well on a smaller scale with guilds within the server. You make it so that even if your server was a goddamn piece of trash and you get the shittiest like 4th place reward or whatever, like 3rd place like for the tier, right? Or if we did it by tiers or whatever, you got last place. Your server, you're the only good guild. Yeah, everyone else is a fucking rally botting 24/7, complete garbage. But if your guild did well and managed to kill a bunch of people as a guild and managed to hold on to objectives and defend objectives and cap objectives in the way, and they did really well, then you would still get a really hefty personal reward for doing well throughout the season, right? That's what I meant.
You could have a guild leaderboard as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
So that is how you would implement this.
There were actually guild leaderboards. I don't think that. I'm trying to remember. They might have been made by Arenanet, but I think they were player made. And if Arenanet made them, I mean that would be really cool. But again, I don't know. Yeah, it would be nice if there were leaderboards like that. That'd be cool.
Like that.
I don't know. There's a lot you have to talk about. And again, like I said, I don't think seasons are a good thing to do right now. They need to fix other stuff. I think the biggest issue has always been population and servers. Like they need to change how they have them now. I mean, maybe make them alliance or guild based, like we've said a few times. Battle groups.
But I mean, Teapot's idea of not necessarily having to have a battle group kind of thing. You could just have guilds that get extra rewards and extra accolades for being good on a particular server. It would be good.
Yeah, the win trading, like the GVG win trading will happen if they put leaderboards in, man. Like, it'll just be like PvP, dude. Just like PvP.
It won't happen. There are people. People hate each other in GVG.
I actually agree.
They want to win. I mean, that's why dodging is a thing, because they don't want to lose.
Wait,
like there's no. I mean, it might happen with some of like the more casual guilds, but amongst the like really hardcore assuming again they came back to the game, that will never happen. It would be hard to pay.
It would be hard to pay 100 people from a good World versus World guild $400 each to play for you guys.
I don't know, dude. Zushin will just swipe his credit card. Easy.
There you go.
I don't know.
That's an NA. NA joke.
There's a lot of pride, man. It's just a friendly scrim. There's no GVGs on EU anymore. Just friendly scrims, you know, just to make sure it doesn't count. Doesn't count. It's just a friendly. Anyway, wow, this is intense. But yeah, that's how they. I actually slightly disagree with you. I think actually something like a tournament could actually be kind of kickstarting it back into World versus World back up again.
But they gotta do some tweaks before.
But yeah, then they have to completely change it. It has to be completely different to They have
to need to overhaul. Yeah.
They have to like focus. They have to have the focus on the server doing well, but they also have to focus on groups within the server doing well as well, I think, in my opinion. Because otherwise, it just incentivizes bandwagon.
You know what we need? We need a GVG LAN, dude. That's what we need.
Yes. GVG LAN, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
imagine?
Right, go on. Next Gamescom, let's buy a booth and just have the GVG LAN. Like, bring...
Can you imagine if you had three NA guilds and 3 EU guilds? That would be so cool, dude. People would die.
90 people in a room.
That would be fucking sick, dude.
You had people would literally kill each other.
Yeah, it would be very friendly.
It'd be great, dude.
It would be very friendly, I'm sure. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, yeah. I guess that's kind of going. Wait, Arenanet needs to delete World versus World.
Yeah, crap.
I think that would help.
Delete World versus World.
I would press the delete button, and if anyone tries to enter into World versus World, permanently ban their account.
Whoa.
That's what you need to do. That'll fix it.
Honestly, that seems good.
I actually, and I've been saying this for a while, I just think there's games coming out that have got the right idea about what they need to do to make the game, to make that mode, to make Realm versus Realm good. And you're going to see World v World population just plummet soon. It's next year too.
Well, hold on. What do you mean plummet?
What?
You can't see it plummet more. No players.
If there are people that are really just interested in that, they're and that's not me bashing Arenanet. That's not me bashing Guild Wars 2. It's just there's some.
That's been the case for a while, though. Every time there was a new MMO, like Arcade and WildStar and whatnot, every time one came out, BDO, a lot of people.
But they weren't like
for the most part, people came back.
Yeah. They're not like focused RVR games, though, are they? I guess BDO Endgame is kind of a bit focused on that, which is weird because you PvE to PvP, which I still don't understand.
But I mean, yeah, this is the thing. There's just no games have really come out that have come close to Guild Wars 2 in the sense of like the combat. Even though the RVR is very small and not supported and stuff, it's still better than other MMOs because.
At the moment, like it's still one of the best ones.
But yeah, the second something comes out that's better.
Yeah, Camelot Unchained.
Everyone's going to leave. Everyone's going to
honestly,
and this is why they need to do it now. They need to go and look at these games and say, this is the market now. And I think it's just like this is people are different. The gamer is different to what it was like 4 years ago. They need to change and adapt it. They need to maybe just be like, okay, there's these initial things that we'll be talking about, like server pride, the actual mechanics and the gameplay of what you're trying to experience. Something needs to change. It can't just be the same forever. Or like needs to be, original or something that needs to bring people back for the gameplay itself and the rewards, like a good combination of everything. I just don't think they've ever had that mix other than right at the start for the first year and a half where it was just about the game. But then it's not enough after a while because you need to know what you're working towards. You need to have that. The server pride's there and everything else, and then tournaments came along and my opinion on that. But like this is what games of the future are doing. They're bringing in different scenarios, like an ever-changing land that actually means that you can't play the same shit every day or when there's a balance patch. Yeah. Like that kind of evolving gameplay that needs to happen.
All this sounds perfect for 2 devs.
Well, yeah, we've given them some easy stuff to do here. But also, I just want to just to quickly interject on the other games. I do have to say, to any developer trying to take down Guild Wars 2, good luck. Many have tried. I mean, look where WildStar is now. I mean, have fun.
It's not an RVR. WildStar isn't an RVR game.
No, I mean, in any way, though, in any capacity. Like, good luck. Good luck trying, okay?
Yes, so.
Yeah. Yes, so. Like, well, yeah.
Oh, yes, so was another one. I forgot, yeah.
That was actually not bad for a bit. But the game
there's still a decent amount of people
playing. Yeah, people play it.
The release was awful, but it's changed a lot. I've heard
combat. It felt like when you were hitting something, you were literally hitting mid-air. That's why people left that game. PvP stuff as well. You're just like, I've got no connection to this game whatsoever.
I don't know. I just have to say, I think we as the players of Guild Wars 2, I don't know. I actually think we have we're kind of looking. We're sitting on our perfectly verdant field. And we see a little bit of green grass in the distance, but we just can't be bothered to look down. I mean, seriously, we don't know how good we got it, guys. Okay, seriously.
TeaTime with
Guild Wars 2 is so like the combat system, the mechanics of Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, we're just talking objectively. We're not insulting the game.
No. I mean, I wouldn't say that's even particularly objective. Actually, I just don't see it, man. Like. Why do people even still play Guild Wars 2 PvP? Like, it got left in the wasteland. It's because the combat is just so much better than the alternatives. Like, the combat system of Guild Wars 2 is a truly remarkable thing. And people always say, like, this is better, man. This is better. And why the fuck is no one playing it? Because Guild Wars 2 is better. That's fucking why, okay?
What this Die Trader guy just wrote in the chat, I think is right. Like, if you like the leaderboards thing is, I think, enough for a lot of GVGers. Like, if you make the game play itself and the mechanics good, then a GVG leaderboard is like all the rewards that you'd need. I mean, that's that's what we want. We want to be number one.
World versus World guild leaderboards. Would you have guilds competing against each other cross servers, or would it be inter servers?
Well, they're two different things, sure. GVG and World versus World. It just depends. I guess. I was talking about GVG, but like if you want to do guild leaderboards on servers for World vs. World, you could do it like that as well. I mean, there's just like the hardcore GVG guilds that used to exist. I think the hardcore World vs. Worlders, they're sort of like one and the same. So they would also be okay with like some sort of just leaderboard thing as the reward. And again, just as long as the gameplay itself is good and the setup itself for like the tournaments or however the servers are, all that kind of stuff, that's more important than rewards, like Jebro was saying.
No.
That's always my thing, but I don't know if it's because I'm old or it's because like, you know, other people share my,
I certainly wasn't playing World of Sword the last 3 years because I wanted to get a lot of gold and stuff, you know.
I just had an idea that came into my head about GVG actually and custom arenas and stuff, and if that actually contributed to like server like points or something like that. Imagine if you went into like a keep and there were like you were defending and you had the option to defend as like a GVG option or something, and it was like you had 15 on 15, you had to defend a keep or something.
So like if an 80-man group runs into a keep and there's 15 people defending it, they can just GVG them to
it seems real.
Like, we'll set out 65 people so that we might lose this. That'll happen.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but even just like arena and that was something that actually contributed to the score as well.
Or how like Edge of the Mist contributes to it as well.
I mean, you could do that, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, something like that would be really cool, actually. And probably very popular, actually, especially if it was instanced as well.
People are saying Frostball got banned?
Yeah, he got banned again, man. But he's
on Twitch.
On Twitch, yeah, third time.
Oh, he's done then. That was his last warning, I think, will it?
For what?
Is he showing? He got banned.
He got banned for, you know what he got banned? He got banned. I'm just gonna say it, guys.
Gachi.
He got banned for showing a raw Gachi video, I believe, like one time at least.
That was the first time, and I warned him. Are you here? I warned you. What the fuck? No, the reason Frostball is a friend of mine, man. I've known Frostball for fucking ages. Like, he's a friend of mine. I'm not bashing him, but like, just like, come on, man. He's a good streamer. He's like a genuinely nice guy as well, and like in a good team. So that's why I'm kind of secretly not. It's not good because I actually think he's a really good streamer. So yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
I laugh and
I completely agree. I completely agree with Jebro and Roy and everyone. I don't think anyone would deny it. It should be about the game mode. But here's the thing: what have we learned from how the Guild Wars 2 player base is, especially from the Pip release thing, the Pip thing? Like,
they're very casual.
Yeah, they're very, very casual. Okay, for them, they don't know.
This is the audience. This is their audience.
But that's what. That's
but it didn't used to be that way. That's the thing.
Listen.
I mean, there were a lot of casuals, but there were a lot of non-casuals too.
Listen. I understand the PvE player mindset, guys. If you want them to play your game mode, and that is PvP or World versus World, okay, you have to engage them with the gameplay by offering the carrot, guys. Okay, if you don't offer the carrot, they never enter the game mode because they can just run around in circles. Opening chests.
We should put like fun PvE events like from Tower of Nightmare in World War Sword. That'll get a lot of PvE players.
I mean, that was.
Oh, they did that.
No, that's not it at all. That's not it at all. Oh man, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Stick to get the World War Sword players out. Yeah.
Guys. Like, this is the thing, right? If you want them to do something, you have to give them something to chase after. Okay. Then they play the game. They realize they actually like the game, and they continue playing the game. And we know this works. We know. Well, I mean, it worked for. The thing is, like with PvP, they made it too good, and that kind of shut it down, right?
It feels bad.
Yeah, it worked. It worked really well with PvP, but then it got wrecked because they just absolutely shat on it. But
that was such a good idea. Oh my god! Like it was too much, but it was just like you should have seen the numbers, man. Oh my god. Well, yeah. You could see it. You could witness it yourself.
So like, with World versus World, when they added pips and they added this stuff, I mean, you could argue that the rewards were actually still a little bit too weak, but it baits people into the game. And what do you have? I don't know. I even have evidence for this. I can actually prove this. Do you know how I can prove this? With my own guild. Because my own guild. This is the case study for this effect is Salt, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Salt is one of the biggest casual guilds in the game. I agree, Teapot. You're absolutely right.
But no, that's true though. Salt is Salt is a casual guild, man. Though it is true though. That is true.
Salt is not casual.
Salt is a casual guild. Salt is undeniably a casual guild.
Really?
Yes. Overall, yes. Salt is definitely a casual guild. Definitely.
Yeah, of course. It's like 400 members or something. There's no way that's a hardcore guild.
Okay.
Like,
no.
I was thinking.
Are there some very hardcore people in Salt? Yes, that is true.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm obviously. Yeah.
Okay.
PVX.
Is that still a way people describe themselves?
I guess so, yeah.
No,
But
no,
listen,
there's the semi-casual, the semi-hardcore, the hardcore, the casual, the sometimes semi-casual. Like it's, this.
Right. There is
there's a gender for every type of player.
There is a very, very broad array of people in Salt. Okay, like there are. I mean, we have even Snowcrows and QT members. Like we have some of the best players in the game in Salt. However, but we do have very casual PvE players who just wanted to clear their raids. Do some casual fractals, blah, 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 blah.
Hey, force them into World and they enjoy it now.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Now we have, I would say...
But you're a World vs. World streamer now. You're not a PvE streamer.
I would say 50-plus people in Salt who really enjoy World vs. World who just hadn't tried it. Okay?
Yep.
And like you could argue that was something to do with me kind of forcing them to do it to a certain extent. Get in there. However... They actually like the game mode, and they stay. They don't play just because they like follow me around in circles, okay? Like, it's not just that. They play because they got baited in by the rewards, okay? And they started enjoying the game. And having stuff like that is what incentivizes people to play. If you had an event... we
just need to get MightyTeapot cloned and put him in every single guild.
You know what it is, though? For Teapot, how this worked is you started playing Stronghold, and that was your gateway drug to World vs. World.
Oh, no.
So bring Stronghold back and get all the PvP players getting the taste of hitting doors with things. And then they go right to World vs. World.
We couldn't even hit the doors as well. That's the thing about it.
Yeah. But anyway.
Stronghold is what will save Guild Wars 2.
That's right.
That's it. So Stronghold was basically the lead up to hitting doors.
Yes,
I got it. You wanted to hit a door so badly that you would world be world.
Exactly. It just wasn't enough. We couldn't do it, man. We had to do it.
That was the tactic.
All right, if you're new to the game, go play Stronghold. That's exactly.
Wait, what?
Right.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. Wait, what the hell?
Don't worry about anything else. Just go in blind.
Wait a minute. Does Frostmore really have a Billy Harrington emote? What the fuck is this? You kidding me? He has a Gachi emote, dude. I had no idea he had a Gachi emote, but there we go. Now we know.
Frostball likes Gachi more than Teapot.
Yeah, it's actually true though. That's suspicious, actually. Anyway, that's why you need to bait people in. And I think they should do something similar with PvP. I'd have to think of something they could do. I think the way the automated tournaments will work after this, the Swiss system, I think that actually will generate more interest because I think right now people kind of think. Like, fuck, man, I'm going to get stomped flat in the first round. I think that is actually a big barrier for people to cross mentally, right? And they don't want to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
And so that's why changing the format is good.
ATs, and I'm like watching Sind and Zan and those guys on the team, and they come up against the first team. I'm like, right, that's 5 guys who probably won't play the next AT for a while.
Exactly, yeah.
It's very demoralizing to just get shit on in the first round.
And there is the argument that those players going up against those top tier players who are known is actually quite a cool thing, and that's a good thing. But then, you say about the Swiss tournament is the fact that you will play. It's dependent on how many teams that would enter, but obviously you have a certain amount of games, and then that enters you into a bracket. It definitely does form more of a community around it because there is. I mean, even in the UGO channel, we don't have as many people like in the chats, but we've got a few chats, and there's a couple of people, and people are like LFGs and stuff, like looking for members, and it's all about just forming that community around that. And like even the LFG in the game, like people do use it. I know it's not like the best thing in the world, but I don't know. I actually think as well, and this would be like a divided opinion. I think there could be a queue for ATs when people like have trouble to try and get into a team. If they had the option to solo queue or duo queue into an AT, would actually not be the worst. I actually think that might be not a bad idea.
I don't really like that. Because I feel like ATs should be
a separate.
Again,
thing,
I want people to be encouraged to stay together as a team.
Of
like
course.
not just once in a while you get together with your friends and play.
Yeah, but right, the problem,
over and over again.
The problem always is about how those teams form in the first place. That's the initial problem that we've always had, and that's what the guild leaderboard was meant to do. And that's what I mean, because then I think you're right. Like when you've initially got that, that's what you want to occur, but you need to form those teams, and it's like how do you?
I mean,
do
I
that?
don't. I think it's possible, but it's very, very unlikely that teams are going to be formed by randomly solo and duo queuing into an AT.
Oh no! I don't mean like that's the sole way you can get into it. I just mean like you have an option if you just like, you know what? I've not got a team. Maybe I'll just solo queue in and see if I can get someone. Or if you're 4 people and you haven't, because I've been in situations where I'm like, you know what, we cannot find a 5th member. There's just no one we know or no one we really that is really that interested.
Oh yeah, I've done the same thing. I did it yesterday. I did an LFG. Exactly. I had 4 people and I did an LFG and I got a 5th. But
exactly, which is essentially the same thing, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I don't think it would necessarily hurt, but again, I think they should. If there's a way to focus on. Yeah.
Which is our core problem. Is one of our core problems.
But yeah, I think this solution is kind of in a way it's kind of the same. It's gonna make people more likely to do it. I think to get into the ATs. I think adding a queue function could be fine. I mean like maybe you get in, maybe you don't. That would get some more participation. But the real key is going to be incentivizing basically getting good. Right, and it's pretty difficult to do, unfortunately, in Guild Wars 2, especially when it looks like there's a bit more of an insurmountable gap, actually, as well. I think like I'm not gonna be
we've got pro league players who are teaming up together who are dominating the top. It's just going to be like that for a long time. I mean, it will be for a lot. It will be that way until they leave.
Well, no. And the thing is, this is going to sound like such a pleb thing for me to say, but like it is possible that they could, in theory. Decide to not do that, and for example, they could divide themselves and actually try and almost like mentor people, right? That would be kind of an interesting thing to do. Like, I mean, seriously, like, what if?
Wouldn't it, Teapot? Wouldn't it?
No, but seriously, I mean, seriously, how cool would that be? That would be. Oh my god, dude, that would be so fucking sick, guys. Think about it. Think of like of all the top players, right? They all like picked a team of 4 people, and they could have like sick bragging rights because their students could beat the other students. Oh,
we've had this idea in the past.
That would be so good. Think of the fucking Twitter banter, man. Think about that shit, dude. Like, think of like the pros on Twitter flaming each other, saying like how much of a better teacher they are, and like how much like their students are gonna shit all over the other ones, dude. That would be actual. But
who's gonna do that though?
Well, I mean, again,
I could see Naru getting in with 4 randoms and teaching them how to play.
That would be so good.
You don't think so, Jebro?
Oh, that would be fucking sick.
I actually think they're awesome, and the funny thing is as well is and I'm probably going to get some hate for this. NA, funnily enough, NA is so unstable sometimes, and there's so much drama that the players are so spread out that the scene is actually very close. Like, there's always like, Ryan knows what I mean, right? Like, in terms of the actual Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments that we have, like NA side is a little bit more like you're not sure who's going to win unless you just get those 5 guys together and just going to.
I agree. Yeah, I think there's a couple. There's enough players that form teams that there are competitive matches, and like you don't know, like the Absurd could win if they play, or the team with Naru and Moobs and whatever, they could win. And there's even a third option, Olrun and Jeff and all these guys and Raw.
Or the 4th option, EU. Comes over.
An EU team
tournament.
That wins the NA tournament. 203 ping, boys.
Hey.
And that was possible. And those guys, I mean, we instigated some new rules where anyone could play in both regions, and you could stack. You could even not elite stack. Sorry, you could stack classes. The elites were different, and the only option people brought, the only stack was a Mesmer. It was a Chronomancer and Mirage. That was the only thing that people brought, right? We didn't see any Necro stacking or anything else, and it was like, and that's an example of changing something so that more people get interested. And okay, we only got 5 teams for EU, which was unfortunate, but that's maybe a timing issue that we need to sort out in the future. But NA had quite a few teams, and it was really good. So like it just infused the scene with some interest. It brought that, which was the main idea, the NA EU kind of server pride, like the bigger region pride, and then the team pride individually. And that's what needs to happen. That kind of thing needs to almost be represented in the game almost somehow in World v World or whatever. And it was fucking awesome. Like, chat was so toxic.
Yeah, dude, that's great though. That's great. That's the best.
I think that's
in a way
hilarious,
I
man.
think that's something that should happen in competitive votes.
It was good.
The banter, yeah.
And banter is good, like not extreme toxicity, but like and the banter was relatively good, and okay, a little bit too extreme on a lot of occasions, but that's kind of the thing you also want, because you want it for story, and you want it because people get interested, they get infused in the scene, and that's how you build something that's successful. And I just want to see that. Hopefully, maybe they can do that in Worldly World and whatnot as well. But I mean, I don't know. I think there's so many possibilities for PvP. I think essentially, like, what it comes down to, like, bringing like the podcast like full circle to even just the instigation of a discussion in the forum thread in the first place is the fact that there's a whole show dedicated to talking about it. So that's important. And infuses, I don't know, it creates conversations and what we're doing, and that's what's important. They need to do it more. They needed to do this from day one. Day one, they needed to be doing discussion threads. Like, whoever. I mean, I think Grouch really kind of, I don't know if he was the first one to really start doing this or to try and start doing this, but what Ben's done as well to carry on or to really, really put like everything out there on the table is something that they need to do more. It's something, that nowadays people need information. They need it now. They need to know what's happening because they need to know whether or not they can invest their time, because people's time is important.
Look, Naru's in chat, Jebro. We can get him now. Naru, how would you feel about teaching 4 random players how to play PvP and then participating in a tournament with them? Yeah. You're going to be the leader, Naru. You're going to be the shiny beacon of that.
But no. Like, aside from that, which is a little bit far-fetched. I mean, that will be a community-driven thing. Would that be awesome? Yes. Is that likely? No. Because people like to win, especially competitive players. Really like to win. So I think it's a bit of a stretch to say like, go on. You guys step down. I'll give your own. The only other way you could do that is if you, again, this is so prone to abuse, but I actually think that a lot of the players would probably respect something like this. You guys can call me out if I'm insanely optimistic here, but the only other way to do it would be to basically restrict some AT, maybe add an additional AT that is restricted for non-legend players, for example.
I actually think that's a really good idea.
Something like that. Similar. Because here's the thing, right? Then you have, instead of people going like, I'm not going to play in this AT because I'm just going to get stomped flat by, Sind and Zan or whatever, or whoever. I mean, it's not just, like, it's even worse than that, man. There's actually like an extremely formidable set of players on EU right now that are kind of dominating everything, and it's not just the pro play, the ex-pros either. It's you have people like Vance. Right, Vans, right? They're going crazy, just stomping all over everyone, right? Or on NA.
He dodge jumps more than he stomps, but yeah.
Dude, if you Legend says it, dude. If he lands on you with a dodge jump, it instantly stomps you.
That's
100%. Yeah.
Hey, Boots, you're awake.
Yeah, you're back.
Just barely.
Yeah.
I'm hanging on.
By the way, Jebro, Naru said he's in, dude. Let's do it. Let's go. Next UGO, you can only have one experienced PvP player on a team.
Something like that will be so cool, though. I mean, if it was actually,
it'll be Team Naru versus Team Moobs
versus
Team Julio versus Team Toker versus Team Nos. Think how cool
that would be so good. That would be so good.
We have had discussions about doing this in the past.
So
and I've talked to Sind about it. I've talked
January UGO. That's it, boys. Confirmed.
I mean, I would do it separately. We'd just do it.
A separate thing.
We'd just do it as an additional thing. I mean, we're always. Do you mind me posting the UGO Discord in the chat?
Dude, sure thing, man.
I'll do that. Well, we're always up for ideas. Like we literally opened like in January when we first started. Opened up Discord, everyone could come and listen to the staff and me like talking about what we want to do, and we'd have the chat open because obviously, 200 people or whatever talking.
I would legitimately love to join a hard carry tournament. I'd love to join that kind of tournament.
It's not a hard carry though. You'd have your one pro player. You'd have your one pro player
who is carrying the team.
No, he's not. He's the leader. He's the shot caller. Okay, boom.
Yeah.
And then you have 4 aspiring competitive players who have to do their best to fuck up the other students.
It wouldn't be about whether or not they're good or not, because they need to be able to communicate with the rest of the team and obviously think about outside themselves as well. So
right. The requirement for doing it would be you'd have to get on comms with the people, you'd have to run the builds they tell you, and you'd have to, probably practice.
You have to run the builds they tell you. God damn
it. Sorry, Boots.
God damn it! All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we could do a third type of tournament where it's only Boots Bad's builds.
That's a terrible idea. That's not a good idea. That's a really bad idea.
That's basically Mystic builds, isn't it?
Yeah, it is pretty much Mystic builds.
Yeah.
It works out the same. Yeah. Oh, we lost someone.
Jebro's dead. He's dead on the ground.
He heard Boots Bad's.
Yeah, he's oh god, this is too much, man. It's too much.
I think that would be cool though, and the main reason you do that is because then hopefully it encourages more people to start getting into the scene and like form teams. And again, that's what I was saying before. I think it's really important that you have to you have to try and incentivize teams to play together and stuff, as opposed to just pugging around and like the ATs sort of just being pugs in a sense. I think if you can do that, it's very good. But who knows? NA players will pretend they're noobs. Well, no. I mean, if me and Jebro ran it, like I think me and Jebro are competent enough to realize who is an experienced player and who isn't. Like it's not like we would let Nas and basically if Jared signed up as a team and be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
We're so bad. Like, we've never played the game before. And like the only funny thing, it could in theory be alt accounts, but I don't know. Come on,
this is the thing with everything.
People aren't massive dickheads though. Let's be honest. Like, come on, they're not.
I think we figured it out.
It's just really positive about that, and it's just like. People aren't wankers, people aren't complete C words. They're not going to abuse the system. Yes, they will.
Oh well, I don't know.
Speaking of which, to get this tournament going, are the 4 people in the group that get paired with a legit player? Do they each have to pay the legit player $100 to add up to that $400?
No.
Hey.
No, you win the tournament. And then you get money.
You win, dude. You win.
There would actually be for money. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what the UGO is. Right now, UGO is the only for money tournament. Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, but honestly, I think you got it on the money though. There needs to be an easier way or a better way for teams to be formed in the game. And it's just been going further and further away from that because we just keep on, duo queue instead of more than that, solo queue for people in Legend. And there's still nothing
solo queue for people above 1500 rating though.
Exactly.
It's not just Legend.
Oh, it's not just Legend now.
No, it's if you're above. Is it 15 or 1600 rating?
It's Plat 2, so it's 1500.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So if you're above 1500 rating, you can't. You can only solo queue.
Which is
pretty much
bad to be fair.
No, I think it's good. I don't.
It was necessary.
As long as you have an extra thing, like Sin talks about this a lot, where he thinks that solo queue is better for just random ranked queues, as long as you have that secondary thing, like the ATs, where those are the 5v5. Those are where you have a team. But again, that's just it wasn't enough.
Yeah, and it's great that we have stuff like UGO to get people to organize teams and to get that going around, and that's great. But it would be better if there was something in the game that was able to do that.
Or if it was more supported. Wink, wink.
I think that that's the idea for the future, and to maybe even get more people interested, or just okay, there's not this 5v5 going on right now, but we can 2v2. And they're really trying to push 2v2. I mean, if you look at the notes and the discussion and stuff, I mean, they're making a new Asir arena, which is close to being done, and they've got another 2v2. So there will be technically 3 2v2 arenas in the game. And also, we might be putting, and I mentioned this very, very briefly to Roy and to our staff as well, that we might be putting 2v2 tournaments into the UGO as well, where we'll try and raise money. Or we'll try and at least get rewards, because no matter how much money we get, as long as we get 8 teams, we're always going to have gem rewards. We're always going to have gem rewards.
It could be 3v3 as well.
Yeah, is in your opinion, which is
3v3
better?
as well. Yeah.
Which one's better, 2v2 or 3v3, in your opinion?
The thing is,
I personally like 3v3, but
you really have to manage things like when we did ESL 2v2s. that took a good 6 or 7 months, I think, to really get sorted. And I wasn't really involved in that until really late on, because you need to make sure you're not going to get a Firebrand and a Scourge versus a Firebrand and a Scourge. And you need to change things like
well, even worse. What if you had just double Firebrand? I mean, you could just troll. You could just troll with stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
You could just queue two Firebrands.
Oh, no, you wouldn't be allowed to have the same class.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Firebrand Ellie then, like a Firebrand Tempest, or a Firebrand Druid or something like that. You could just do infinite troll builds, troll comps.
We did was we banned any kind of. We even ended up banning like Menders and anything like that. I mean, you can ban we banned Moa, we banned all these different. And it's quite cool actually. Yeah.
There's a 1v1 tournament run on an A by a couple a couple guys. It's called the Fame tournament.
Yeah.
And what they do is if it's a 1v1 tournament, if there's a duel that lasts for I think more than 5 minutes, they restart the duel and both players have to go to like Berserker or Marauder amulets.
That was actually.
So I mean, there's things like that. That was the rule we
had in Mystic builds as well.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, what we did in ESL was have a capture point mechanic as well. So it wasn't just about whether or not they killed them. If they could win it through one of two ways. Because if you're a thief, obviously you can stealth up, you can kite away, you can move off the point. If you're a druid as well, you can just kite. But if they're off the point, they're not going to cap it. So we had midpoint at faux fire, and basically you could lose the game by losing the cap or by dying. So there was actually an extra mechanic involved. So we never even got to that phase. Unless it was just warrior versus warrior at some occasion. But still, there might have been some bursts coming out at different times back when there was...
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we started doing something like that, then obviously we'd have to, look at it after the first one. We'd probably have to change some things. And
yeah.
So it's not like something we would just throw in there and be like... Oh,
we would have the new 2v2 map as well. We wouldn't have it on Courtyard.
Yeah.
And it's a smaller area. You've got, those two staircases, and it's not really. I don't think anyone's seen the 2v2 tournament on that yet. And it we should be able to get more than 8 teams, and the gem pricing would be there. And I think we'd probably just do it on gems in the first place anyway.
It'd be pretty. 2v2 tournament means you could definitely get more teams than a 5v5 tournament.
Yeah,
easy.
And it would then bring those players potentially in their own.
It would bring new players too.
Go to 5v5, yeah.
Because there's probably a lot of players. I mean, like I was just saying, this 1v1 tournament. There's a lot of players that don't participate in the UGO because they're not interested in Conquest. So now you have you have a third option. A 2v2 or a 3v3 that's going to bring those players and hopefully others that are more interested in that than 5v5.
And I'd like to see a permanent AT with that. Because then you get those 5-man teams breaking up into 2s as well. Because then at the end, you'd have that extra storyline. They've got you've got Sind and I don't know, because you'd have Misha and Zan, I guess, together. But you'd have Sind and whoever versus Misha and flipping Zan, and you'd be at the end, and we could have it on the Twitch, casting the ATs, and just be these two guys that were in a team, and it just creates this.
And they're killing each other now. They hate each other, and they could start flaming. They could just start flaming. Actually, big thing. Arenanet, can you please put the speech bubbles visible when you are spectating, please? Because right now they're not visible. You can't see the speech bubbles. If they do a /say, you can't see the speech bubbles while you're spectating. Okay, this is a huge error. Because right now, if one of the players starts flaming,
basic tournament spectating.
So if they start going crazy, flame. For example, I don't want to drop names, but suppose if an NA player.
You don't need to drop names. It's pretty much anyone who's in the final.
If they were in NA and say they left the game early. Say they left the game early, right? They left the game a little bit before it was actually over. Maybe a little bit of rage there. Being able to see that rage, be juicy. Or for example, if you have a player loses a 1v1 to another player, the player who wins starts flaming while they're stomping. That's drama. Okay, we want that in the game.
Okay, there are PvP threads on the forums that you could even write that in. There are discussion threads. Yeah. Well, you could write that idea there.
I'll tell you what, Roy. You know why I say that with pride? Because actually, Salt, myself, we already did that. We already wrote a post about a year ago, I think, asking for that to be put back in the game.
Well, maybe they missed it. You never know.
Basically, the reason that got rid of is there's a standard. They added in a patch a standard
models,
rule set for no, not standard models, but standard rule set for tournament spectating. So that basically when we went to Pro League or when we went to ESL Studios, this was automatic because one time you did have speech bubbles on, and it was not good. Imagine
there's certain things that you don't want.
It's true, because also a lot of things.
But have an option, man. Have an option for it. Have an option for it. Okay.
To circumvent the kitten filter. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can put the profanity filter on, high or whatever.
There's ways to circumvent that.
Yeah, but like, there's always spacing, and there's always different ways to get around that. So it help.
Well, that's what I'd have as an option. Oh yeah, team colors are still fucked as well, actually, which is a real shame. We complained about that a lot as well, actually. But yeah, we even did a post about that as well. We did a post about fixing the team colors and the speech bubbles. Helping the PvP community out since, well, a year ago.
You don't want to see team colors. You want to see everyone's individual.
Well, for Mystic builds, it's kind of irrelevant, right? It's a bit irrelevant. That's why. But I mean, it was an option. Like obviously, in an actual 5v5, it's definitely correct to have team colors, but not always, because it ruins people's fashion wars, man.
Maybe give something. Yeah, maybe give something.
Wait a minute, isn't that
an aura? Or I don't know why that'd be bad.
You can't turn it off. You can't turn it off. No, you can't.
I've never needed to, because I never think that's a good idea. But other than you say like 1v1 fashion wars, like I really didn't even know that, actually. Yeah, it's funny.
You can't. There's a setting for it, but the setting doesn't work.
Oh right, okay, so it's just faulty.
Yeah, and the speech bubble set. There's a setting for the speech bubbles, but that setting doesn't work either. So yeah,
it's a feature.
Yeah,
there you go.
But yeah, so I just think BM and drama is a big part of it. I think it gets people hyped. I mean,
that's
what he's at the end of the day,
like Hellseth so much.
And at the end of the day, right, it's all friendly. I mean, those guys up top, they're, the top people, they're all friends. They all know each other. They're not. Maybe on NA, maybe on NA, there's some legitimate hatred, but I don't know.
EU as well. It's just as bad.
I don't know, man. I don't think there's actual hatred on EU. I don't know, man. I don't think it's that much of a big deal.
Sorry.
It's not that bad.
I don't know if
it's not that bad.
I mean, sure.
Hey, I
actually think it's sometimes worse on EU than it is on NA, if I'm going to lie.
Competitive people are going to get competitive. There's nothing you can do about that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a competitive mode. They should be competitive.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. That's why people watch esports.
Oh, Garka did like Garkos versus Sin.
Garkos versus Sin. They're best friends.
That was like, dude, it was great. It hasn't happened yet, but it's so great. Like every single time, like Garkos tries to trigger them, and then Sin just brought rank 55, and he brought Zan and Misha in to start flaming Garkos. It was great, dude. It was great. It was really funny. They need to get that 1v1 going again, dude. We need to get that 1v1
No, they
going again.
don't, because then it will be over. It should never happen. They should always tease about it, so that can.
Oh, better than that.
It can't ever happen, because it's just going to get wrecked.
Have Garkos lead one of the teams.
What?
Have Garkos lead one of the teams in the carry.
Oh yeah. That would actually be really good.
That way they don't have to go right up against each other, so there'll still be that mystery of who would win.
We'll probably just do an exhibition match. We'll probably just do an exhibition match first. Like, just do best of 7 or best of 5 or something like that, and just have 2 guys like to test it out. Actually, might just be a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
But and then kind of evolve into a tournament if people are.
Garkos' electricity goes off every time I ask about this.
In fairness, he is actually having a problem with electricity right now wherever he is. Like so I mean
anytime he's within certain range of Sin.
He said no. He said he actually. I mean I don't know. They both dodged each other. In fairness, like Garkos even arrived, but then Sinra couldn't do it, so it was kind of like they have to arrange for them. But anyway,
if one of them loses, it's
exactly. Because the thing is, if Garkos loses, it's like if Garkos loses, it's not a big deal, right? But if Sin loses, that's a serious risk he's taking. If by any, if there's like a 1% chance he loses, then I don't know, dude. Like that 1%, like I don't know. I don't know.
That's how careers get launched, man.
Yeah. But anyway,
in the big dog.
I think
we need to get Sizer versus Sin on SD, and life's good.
Yeah, there we go. And
one will die. Who's the better SD?
Who's the better player?
It has to be Sizer, of course. He's played nothing else, so like.
He's just been waiting. One day we'll get Sizer back into the UGO as well.
Somewhere Sizer's saying, "I told you all 3 years ago."
He's on stream. He's streaming.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about this post from the front? This is the last thing we address. Then we're going to chill a bit.
We go.
What do you think about this post making PvP separated from the core game, installation only? They're not going to ever do that. Although that would actually be kind of a cool idea. They'll never do that because
we had discussions about this.
Yeah, it's just not going to work because they sell elite specializations in their expansions. The only way you could do that is if you could do a special type of account that's discounted, that's PvP only, and that they could do.
They should do it. They should have done it years ago.
So they could make just like a Guild Wars 1 old school account, so you could have like a PvP exclusively account, but it can't do anything else except that. But say it's 50% off or something like that. That
it would literally be its own thing. Yeah, that would.
Does it get the elite specs?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, you'd offer them like I don't know, $20 to have everything.
Yeah, I think that will be
like you can buy heroes. Actually, no, you buy elite specializations.
Nah,
because then you don't. But then you don't have to buy them all, and you can get it from what? Like the game's free to play. You pay $5.
Hey, that's an idea.
Elite specialization. It's cheap.
I don't think that's good actually. I think.
Yeah, but you buy like the
You're
thing
gonna
is,
have to do it going forward too.
If you go to any free-to-play game, PvP game, you buy skins, or sometimes you buy champions by earning game in gold, or you can actually just pay for them, right? That's the kind of model something they could have gone for a while ago. I don't know if they'd ever had that decision, but that's the model you go for in like free-to-play PvP games. You need to make money somewhere. So what do? Do you monetize champions? Do you monetize skins? Do you make these available to farm in the game? Because people, at the end of the day, you need to make some kind of money.
They're already monetizing the skins. That's the thing. I don't think they need to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, in MOBAs, you still do have the option to buy heroes. Not in all of them now. I would say it's more often than not you actually can just farm for them. But
Teapot though, like if you buy, let's say you buy this PvP account for $20 now, and you get Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire elite specs. What happens when Cantha comes out? Would you just get it for free?
No, you have to pay again.
So there you go. So it's the same thing, really.
It's the same. It is kind of the same thing.
Actually. It's not exactly the same thing, though, is it? It's not really the same.
$10.
No.
It's pretty much the same thing. You get 2 expansion elite specs for $20. You get the next one for $10. You're paying $10 for each.
But I would keep the price static. If you wanted to buy another account only for PvP, then it would still be $20. You get all of it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's like Living Story, in a way, right? That's how I would do it.
Your character logged out, dude.
Yeah, I know.
It would have been cool. Mine just looked
a move.
Yeah, I didn't jiggle enough, man. But anyway, that's the last thing. Okay, guys. Let's it's time for tea time to be overtime, guys. Well, it already is overtime, but it's time for overtime to actually be over. So yeah, let's talk about ourselves a little bit, seeing as we've now once again, not a surprise, solved every problem that a specific game mode has. World Wars and PvP, 2 birds with 1 tea time, guys. Absolutely destroyed. Boom. All right, let's do some shilling. Jebro, it's been a while. Back on tea time. What are you up to? There's a lot of stuff happening in Jebro land, guys. What's going on with that? Tell us everything. Everything. I want to know it all.
Yeah, everything you've done since the last time you're on Tea Time.
That's quite a lot. I'm actually just as a side thing. I'm now a host for Rocket League for RLRS, which is a massive tournament for Rocket League.
I've heard of that game.
Yeah, man, it's going to be the biggest fucking esport in the world, my friend. It's going to be it's just like. But anyway, on a side thing. Which was quite cool. I enjoyed that. I'm streaming full-time stuff. I'm doing Guild Wars 2, but I'm doing like Path of Exile and a ton of other games. Like Fallout 4 VR comes out next week, man. Fucking
really?
That.
I actually
Fallout
know
4
that.
VR on 5. I've got it. It's ready. Tuesday, I'm on that shit. I know Winter's Day is out as well and all the new changes, but like Fallout 4 is like 4
VR. Let's go.
One of my favorite like flipping things ever.
I'm looking forward to that. That'll be cool.
Yeah, man, I'm streaming the shit out of that next week, maybe. So hopefully, I'm gonna hopefully go over Balance Patch as well. We'll see. But yeah, I'm twitch.tv/JebroUni. Yu-Gi-Oh is really the biggest thing as well. January we're gonna be starting up again. Obviously, Roy and myself and Nat with the rest of our staff. So if anyone wants to join and they want to be like an admin or anything, you can pretty much watch the whole tournament as well. We're working on rewards for 3rd place gems, which have been in discussion with Arenanet for a while. So I was trying to see what we can get for that. But also we're trying to revamp our reward system. to give possibly top 6 to 8 teams some kind of prizing, which will be cool. But other than that, that's it, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to embellish too much more.
All that stuff, plenty of stuff to go and access. And then let's see. It's Roy. It's Roy from Ash. Actually, maybe the most cynical person here. Tell us what you're up to these days.
And he's the youngest as well. Oh, wait a minute. Who's the youngest?
Oh, he's dead.
I am older than Teapot by 9 days.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm 16. Let's
3. 12.
Let's not. Yeah, what have I been up to? Trying to grow a beard. No. If anyone has an extra lung, I could use it.
An extra long what?
An extra lung? That would be great.
An extra long.
He's got extra lung. Lung.
Oh, lung.
The breathing thing.
Yeah, mine aren't working that great. But no. Besides that, I haven't really been streaming very much because I don't really play the game that much anymore, outside of the tournaments. Until they update World vs. World or GVG, like that's going to be it. Just check out the UGO. Like Jebro said, we'll be back in January. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sub to Teapot and Jebro.
Yes,
and
definitely do that. I approve that message, all of it, but especially the bit at the end, obviously. Let's see. And what's also sub to Roy, by the way, guys. You realize that you can sub to Roy. You realize you can get you guys realize that you can get a Roy Kappa emote. Are you guys aware of that?
You can get an emote with the American flag on my face.
There you go.
I don't stream. Like I said, I mean, look, if my guild reforms in January, then I'm gonna start streaming again. So there you go. But at the moment, I don't play that much. So. Okay. If they make 15v15s in PvP, if they do some sort of GVG ATs, I'm going to be 100% on that. Stream every day, but until then, I just don't have content. I mean, PV is already covered by you. PvP is covered by Sid and whatnot.
What about 15v15 snowball fights in Winter's Day?
Woo!
I mean, yeah, I'll be getting on that, of course. That was a given, but but no, I do appreciate it, but I don't want to tell anyone to sub to me when I don't plan to stream very much. So. There you go.
Okay. And the top left. Making bad builds. Recently released a Mad King rune build.
A bad build.
In fact.
Bad build. Yeah.
Okay. So honestly, that build isn't even that bad. It's surprisingly unbad.
Mad Kings used to be used in PvP loads.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now,
it's actually a solid rune.
So lay it down, Boots. What's up? What's up with you? When are you streaming? Every time you say you start streaming, but it never happens.
I never said I start streaming. I never said I would, and I never will. No, I'll do it. I'll do it at some point. I just said that. Damn it. You're right. I do say it sometimes. Okay. Maybe I will. But no, I'm making bad builds. And just like Roy, my body too is failing. I pulled my back a couple of days ago.
Oh no!
We should combine, Boots. We could combine and create one superhuman.
Yes, just take the good parts.
Fucking get me in there as well. Jesus Christ. I'm in there.
Everyone's broken.
And so on top of that, I'm recovering from just transmuting my ascended armor and forgetting to take out the +9 infusions.
Oh
yeah, I remember. I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter, man.
Yeah. So I'm down to 3 gold, and.
Dude, so I'm in that vein. Wait, were they stat infusions, Boots, or just +9s?
+9s.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. When I was setting up a new Mesmer build for the new raid, I deleted about 8 +9 stat infusions.
Ooh.
From fractals.
Ooh.
It was horrible. I literally vaporized like 500 gold at least. It was oh.
Boots, you need gold?
Yeah.
But anyway,
I will send you some gold boots.
Be sure to follow, sub to everyone here, including me, because I'm the last person here, guys. Follow the stream if you enjoyed it. It's been one hell of a show today, guys. I'm Teapot, dude. Look at the little icon.
Oh.
Look at the little icon.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's what I am.
Forgot where we were. My bad.
Anyway, follow the stream. If you want to support the channel, subscribe to the stream. Yeah, do it. Or don't. And then make sure to follow me on Twitter as well. But other than that, all I have to say is watch everyone here, guys. Watch those Yugos. Watch those bad builds. Watch all the streams on Twitch. Make Guild Wars 2 Twitch great again, my friends. and we will see you guys around. And that's going to be
follow MMO Winks on Twitter.
Oh, wow, yeah. Just want to say
yes, so important.
One thing before the YouTube video is over is, Free Frosty. Come on, he didn't bet just because he likes just because he likes the sound and look of men slapping each other does not mean he deserves to be banned from Twitch. Okay, it's not acceptable, Twitch. Okay? He deserves better, okay? He deserves better. Okay? But that is it. Thanks for watching, guys. Follow everyone, subscribe to everyone, support all the juicy Guild Wars 2 content. And we will see you guys. We'll see you guys later. That's about it. Cheers, guys.